are back and we are live on this week's Freaky Friday. Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kev Baker, just one of the Woo crew, and tonight we have got a very international flavour to the show. Oh boy, we're going all the way from America right the way to Australia and then everywhere in between, and we've got speakers from both of those countries, and of course me here in Scotland. It is going to be one of those really special Freaky Friday experiences. Who are we? Where do we come from? And more importantly, where are we going? And on Monday on the Kev Baker Show, one of the highlights, I think, out of over 1,400 episodes was the presentation that we had from Stephen and Evan Strong, all the way from Down Under. It was about our forgotten origin, the out of Australia theory, and we also got into our alien ancestry. I've had so many people getting in touch with me about some of the skulls that we looked at on that show. It was mind-blowing, but at the time, in the back of my mind, I knew that it might just actually be the opening act of something even more special. Because tonight, Scotty boy, are we getting back to the ancestors, my friend? We're reconnecting the tribes from across the world. How you doing, brother? It's going to be a good one.
Oh man, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic conversation, and I think these are the kind of conversations that need to happen more often. You need to get people from all around, a truly international kind of perspective of everything from Australia to the United States to Scotland, and you have this conversation with and all of a sudden you find out that a lot of the experiences that these people had were the same, and that they were talking about a lot of the same things, and it all ties back, these origin stories and all that. It's like, oh, it's deeply rooted in something that really happened, and we're just talking about maybe our interpretation of it, in our language, and we have different names and stuff for what happened, but we're talking about the same thing. And so I think this, having these conversations help tie all of that together and kind of validate that. So it's really, really good, dude.
Oh, it's
Awesome.
going to be awesome. It really is. And of course, none of this would really be possible tonight without our latest and newest addition to the Freaky Friday team. He's become a bit of a regular fixture here as the third amigo, Mr. Nacy. So, Kevin, I want to thank you for being instrumental in putting all this together. I've got shows every day, so you were really, really good in getting this all lined up in the background, man. A, thank you for that, and B, how you been doing, brother? It's been a long week. It feels like that since we last spoke. Nacy? Is Nacy there? No, we're Nacy-less, so what I will do before we bring on the guests, I know it's going to be one of these broadcasts, right? What I will do while we're waiting for Nacy, I will head on over to the Wookiee Cave. And if you're new to the show, you might be thinking, what on earth's name is the Wookiee Cave? Well, if you head on over to the home of Freaky Friday, Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Big shout out to Chris and Cherie Geo, as always, for putting together the network that has been home to Freaky Friday. It feels like forever. So if you want to head on over to tfrlive.com/chat, you will end up in the Wookiee Cave, and I'll be over to give you a big squirt of dopamine in about 30 seconds time. So we'll give them a couple of seconds to head over there, Scotty. But this is going to be... We've got so many guests on the show tonight, it could either be absolutely tremendous. It may go all wrong at points as well. But I'm sure the audience will appreciate that we're kind of just patching this together. And there's storms all over the world. There's connection problems. Oh, Scotty.
You know what? I was just sitting here thinking, with the absolute wonder of technology that we have today, think about it. 15, 20 years ago, doing something like this would have been hard for a network to do and actually pull off, right? Like they used to have to drive around with their satellite trucks, and you had people in the control center having to line up everybody's shots and all of this, and that was like a huge production that required a lot of people and a lot of expensive equipment and all of that. And now
Now some
anybody,
dafty in Scotland and in his lounge in
yes,
Glasgow can just whack it together and away we go. Yeah.
put together a show, pull together guests from all around the world. Um, we even have a better connection than networks did back then, because they used to have a satellite delay, right? They would ask somebody a question and they would have to sit there and wait for like 3 seconds before they could even reply.
Dude, listen, TFR beats Fox News over on TalkStream Live. Well, we've taken over, man. We've done it. So listen, I'm going to head into the chat room now, and then we're going to bring on today's speakers, because this show is all about them, folks. So first up in the chat room, you've got me and Sophia. Stop the rumours. They're all true. We've got Bam. We've got Cold Brews. Billy Ray, our very own Billy Ray Valentine, over in the chat room. Great to see you, brother. We've got All One, Paradoxical Anomaly, Onslow, The Gentle Wolverine, Waffle Buddy. Oh, Epic Journey, man. Epic, I need to get you on the show, because you done a brilliant breakdown of one of my least favourite characters the other night. You know, Steve Bannon, you probably could do a Freaky Friday about him. There's that much woo around him. But we need to get you back on the show, brother. We've got Bill 13 in there. Mojo Honor 1. Nice name. Okay, we've got Smithy Greenbeard. Smithy Mick Greenbeard. I stand corrected.
Oh my
a
goodness.
Scottish Greenbeard, no less. We've also got Daryl. We've got the Curious Specimen. And last but not least, we have got the Lancifer. So I'm going to send up a smoke signal now to the Anishinaabe. Nacy, pick up the Bush Telegraph. Are you there, man? Nah, he's not. He's gone, isn't he?
I believe he dropped out.
Okay.
He
What we'll do is, I'll come to my good friend, my Auntie Luna. Luna, it's good to have you back on the show. It really, really is. I know you were really happy that we had got Evan and Stephen Strong on Monday. I hope you enjoyed that show, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to hearing you talking today about the Seven Sisters. But not only that, you've brought on a whole squad of people here with you as well, okay? We've got our good friend Uncle Donny, who can't be on camera tonight because of connection problems. But I'm going to let you say a few words, welcome you to the show and that. Then I'm going to let you introduce your fellow Australians onto the show, Luna. So how you doing? How have you been since you were last on here?
I've been good. Lots happening, as well, it's affecting everyone in the world. Happy, growing. Excited to be back on. It's good to see you all again. Hi, everyone. And I brought with me some friends, because me and Donnie wanted everybody to have deeper understandings of our culture, and the only way to do that is to introduce you to an array of different people and the things that they do, so you get different views. And today we've got my good friend Wayne Davis and my other good friend John Hunter, and they're going to be presenting you with some really interesting information, and I'll be telling you the story of the Seven Sisters.
And we've got our brother Donnie with us as well.
Oh, and of course, Donnie's like my left arm now.
Donnie is, and Donnie, I hear you laughing in the background there, brother. My mum, she heard your accent the other night, and when she was watching one of the shows, and she had to give a shout out for your accent. Anne loves your accent as well. So Donnie, welcome back to the show, brother, and it's good to have you here. I wish I could see you, but it's good to have you on the call. How you been doing, man?
Doing well today, brother.
Good man, good man. I'm looking forward to getting into your deeper knowledge of Dave later on in the show, but we'll find out. We might go there. but I'm looking at somebody here on camera, and Luna introduced him as Wayne. Wayne, I want to give you a huge thank you for joining us today, brother. It's really, really nice to meet you. And I can't wait to hear what you've got to share with the audience today. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you too. And look forward to sharing my insights and my life journey.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I thank you for that. Now, we've also got somebody called John with us today as well. Now, John was having problems hearing us. John, are you there? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, Kev, how you going? I can hear you now.
Awesome, brother. It's great to speak to you as well. Like I said to Wayne there, really appreciate your time coming on and for sharing some of this information with us today. It's going to be really special, and thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries. So, Luna, I think I'm going to come back to you. Auntie
Okay.
Luna, because I want you to say a few words to open up the show,
Yep.
to get us ready for that. And
Oh,
I'm really, you know, the other night when I heard the guys talking about the sky turning Pleiadian blue over Uluru, I was thinking to myself, oh, that's funny because we're going to be talking about Pleiadians on Friday. So over to you.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. Sorry,
Oh, Scott, it was like game changing.
That sounds totally awesome.
I'm
Game changing.
surprised you weren't there, Scotty.
I'm gonna send you a picture, Scott. I'll send you a picture of a skull that changed my world. Okay. So Luna, over to you.
To begin with love and respect, we acknowledge Creator, the Mother, the spirits and the ancestors of all the lands this voice is being heard in. Thank you.
So Luna, Auntie Luna, the seven sisters. I know you're nervous, so you are. No need to be nervous, and people love to hear what you've got to say. But I'd love for you to open up this show with this story about the seven sisters. There you go.
Here we go. Miai, Yilalu, Wangan, Baragalunda. Long ago, in the creation time, the seven sisters. The seven sisters were camped together in the northwest. Warana, a spirit man, was travelling and seen their camp and walked up to them. They welcomed him because he was alone and hungry. They said, "Take food and shelter overnight to rest, as is our culture and law of our people." Warana asked, "Where is your tribe?" The sisters answered, "We are Miai. Our country is far away. We only come to this place for a short time and then we go back again." The next day, Warana made a fresh start and left their camp. He thought, "I will steal a wife from them because I'm tired of travelling alone." He saw the seven sisters go hunting with their digging sticks. He followed at a distance. While the sisters were eating, Warana thought, "I will catch them. I will sneak up and steal 2 digging sticks." When the sisters finished eating, they picked up their digging sticks and turned towards their camp again. But only 5 could find their sticks. 2 sisters said, "You all go back. We'll find our sticks and follow." "Where are our digging sticks?" The 2 looked around, but couldn't find the digging sticks. Warana crept out and stuck the lost sticks together in the ground, and then he went back into the hiding place. When the 2 girls turned around, they saw their sticks. As they ran to them, Warana jumped up and caught both of them around their waists, holding them tightly. They struggled and screamed, but no one heard them. Warana said, "Don't be afraid. I'll take care of you. I'm lonely and want you as my wives. If you come with me, I'll be good to you, but if you don't, I'll hit you with my stick, Murala." The girls said, "Our tribes look for us and chase you." Seeing that fighting was useless, the 2 young girls went with him. He travelled quickly, hoping to get away. Some weeks passed and the 2 sisters wondered if their tribe was still hunting for them. One day when they were camped on the red soil country, Warana said, "This fire will not burn. Go and get some bark from the cypress pines trees over there." "No," said the girls. "We can't cut kurai, the cypress pine, because it's a sacred tree. Go, I tell you, cut the pine bark or I will hit you." As they cut the kurai, the tree branches curled them up and grew straight up into the sky, rising higher out of the ground, taking the two sisters upward into the sky and up into the stars. Steadily the pines grew higher and higher until at last their tops touched the heavens. From their star camp in the sky country, the 5 Miai sisters spotted the two girls. They called out, "Give us your hands, sister." Then the 5 sisters in the sky stretched out their hands and drew them up into the heavens. When you look up at the 7 sisters, 2 of the stars are dim. Their lights are not bright because they are stolen by Warana. Across from the girls are 3 hunters or brothers, and their tribe Birai, who had been looking for them all this time. That is the 3 boys, the 3 stars of Orion's belt. They had been betrothed to the sisters. When the 7 sisters come to Earth from the sky country, they leave ice on the ground. Winter is called after this ice that's left behind, Dunda. Ice and winter is Dandara. The Gurai cypress pine is always buried with people. 2 poles are put in the grave because they guide the people to the upright and straight and always do what is right. The trees help people to rise up into the sky to the spirit world in the heavens, in the journey into the sky camp where our ancestors live. The sky world is mirrored by the earthly world. The creation time or dream time is in the past, the present and the future. The sky world is within us, just like the earth is within us in our bodies. From the elements of the food and water we eat and the drink from our country, that is why we belong to country. We don't own it. It is a part of us. Thank you.
There we go. Now somebody's camera dropped off there, so I think we're gonna have, I think it was Wayne. I think we lost Wayne there. So Luna, for one kind of moment. Oh, he's back. There we go. We've got him back. We're good. I thought we were getting a big giant version of Luna. Listen, the more the Luna, the better. I know the audience are saying that. Listen, Luna, that was an amazing story. It really, really was. Thank you.
It was. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy just listening to that story. You can almost visualize everything. It's a very amazing tale, you know, and it got me thinking about so many different things. You know, as it was being told, you know, the tree like shooting up from the ground and reaching up into the heavens. For some reason, my mind immediately went to remember what was it? Was it Devil's Rock over there? And you know, what is that in South Dakota?
Well, I know it's the one out that movie, isn't it? Close Encounters.
Yeah, but it makes me think of. Remember, there was all of that talk about
Them being tree stumps.
Yeah, gigantic tree stump and all of that stuff, or these conduits or something that could extend out from the planet, and then it kind of brings in the whole talk of like natural stargates and being able to be propelled to other distant stars from that location and all of that stuff. So I mean that's immediately where my mind went when I was hearing, you know, listening to that.
It's strange you describe it like that, and I'll say it's strange because I shared with Luna and you'd have heard me before the show, and Luna knew right away what I was talking about, but spoke to Luna, spoke to Donnie, love it. I've asked them about the dream time before, and it was a really good answer. It just didn't really sink in. And then the other day, Scott, I watched this an amazing man called Uncle Lewis. And I could almost like see him having a conversation with ancestors that were here a long, long time ago, dude. And it was the one time when finally that dream time clicked to me. Where like you almost experienced things happening when you were listening to that. When I was watching this, dude, I could literally, it was as if I could hear him having that conversation, because there was a pause in between every time he spoke, and looking around, I'm thinking, you're experiencing that right now through your ancestors that were here. So Luna, does that make a bit more sense the way I've kind of said it there? I know you.
Yes, it does.
I know you kind of smiled and you got it right away, right?
Yeah. That's all I really can do is smiling on my head.
Yeah. I'll bring in I'll bring in Uncle Donnie at this point. Donnie, we're talking about the 7 sisters there, but when I was listening to Uncle Lewis, he was talking about the 2 brothers or the 3 brothers that came from the stars as well, and a time when they were on a mountain and they were singing and dancing together, and there was great catastrophes going on. And like I say, brother, this was the first time where it really sunk in what that dream time's all about, dude. Really sunk in. So what's your thoughts on that, or what Luna's just had to say, or what do you want to get into, Donnie?
At the moment, I'm lost for words.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, that's a good thing at the moment.
Good.
You'll have to come back to me on that one, because I'm sort of lost for words.
I will come back to you on that one. I will. Wayne, I'll come to you then, brother. I know we're going to be looking at some of your art as the show progresses, but you heard Luna telling that story there, and you heard me kind of trying to describe what was happening to me when I was watching somebody called Uncle Lewis talking, and he had all the paint on, and it was just life-changing, really, really life-changing for me. But what would you like to add in here at this point, Wayne?
Well, from my way of telling, dreaming stories, particularly related to the universe, my mother's dreaming is the emu, which sits in the Milky Way. Down under, we see the Milky Way very clearly, and we see the emu very clearly. It sits up inside the middle of the Milky Way, which always reminds me that's my mother's dreaming, and some of my artwork is showing that. And I've done several paintings over many years that actually outline the emu inside the Milky Way, and a lot of people don't really see the emu because they're looking at the stars. Their focus is on the stars. Excuse me.
And Wayne,
but in the middle of the...
Would you agree then that the whole painting, a very, very big part of your culture and passing on stories, would that be right?
Exactly. We adopted a new enterprise, I guess you'd call it, in the art industry. Is all of our art was done on the ground through ceremonies. All our ochre is put onto the earth, and the stories are told through that process. These days, Aboriginal people I'm from Central Australia, so I'm very close to Uluru and large, big icons like that, and places of special places. So our stories are generally told through sand paintings on the dirt, and nowadays it's the transition into putting acrylic paint or ochre onto canvas, and so our stories are transferring every time through different mediums, and what I do today
is to be passed on, right? It's always to keep it going. Yeah,
that's right. It's always the transfer of knowledge, sharing our culture, sharing our spirituality, the journey that we all take in life. There's lots of links back to people, people's healing, spirituality, and I think it's very, for me, I've been painting for more than 20 years now, and I will never stop painting because it's my way of transferring knowledge over to people who are open minded to that and want to feel like they want to be a part of Earth, Mother Earth, and the universe we live in. So it's sort of like I'm floating in between both, actually.
Oh, Wayne, Scotty, is this not just like the perfect opening to a Freaky Friday ever?
Yes, yeah. This is gonna get good. This is it's.
I was gonna say it's already
good.
right up there, right?
This is gonna get even better.
So listen, if you're listening on the radio, we're going to be back in 3 short minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be going back down under, and we'll finally be hearing from Nacy. Yes, we'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere. I don't think I've ever done like a Skype call with that many names on it before. It's crazy. So, Nacy, are you there, brother?
Testing.
Hey.
Basic, niche, niswed, niswad, nanan, ningo, dwaswe, nishwa. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
Yes, I am here.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Now, when we come back, I need to go to John as well. I've got all the names written down here because I can't see everyone, so I don't want to forget or leave anyone out here. It's a nightmare. So, you need to keep me right, Auntie Luna. You're in charge today. Definitely.
It's actually quite easy, Kev. You've got 3 famous people. You've got John Wayne.
I know.
And Donnie Anne Marie.
I know. So Donnie, are you still lost for words up there, Donnie?
Well, as far as I know, that was what had been told to me, is dreaming's continuation. It doesn't stop at the dream time. It keeps continuing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's a better way. See, you see, one sentence and Donnie clears up my mumbling and bumbling for 5 minutes, you know? That's what it is, Donnie. That's why you're here, man. That's why we need you, dude. Telling you.
Yeah.
Donnie's like, you got to condense it down to it's raw form.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about Australians. They just cut to the chase. Say it how it is. Yep. Telling you. So when we come back after the break, Nacy, I'm obviously going to come to you, dude. I don't know what happened at the start, man. But I came to you and we were like hearing nothing, and there was that many names on the Skype list. I didn't know who was here, who wasn't. So we'll come back there, and then we'll get John to come in. We'll get John's first kind of input into the show as well, and then we can go wherever, you know.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm all on board. I'd rather be more quiet during this conversation because the wealth of information that these incredible entities have is just is enjoyable on many facets.
Well, Nacy, you really because you've spoken more with Luna and the people in between shows, you've really got the reins of this one tonight. Me and Scott are in listening, learning mode.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'll always
see trying to see gets out of it all the time, Luna. See, he always gets out of it. Yeah, there's no captain on Freaky Friday. It's not Kev Baker's Freaky Friday. It's just Freaky Friday, you know.
Pass the buck tonight, Kev.
I'm telling you, I'm getting it thrown right back at me though, Luna. It's not working. Not working.
No, we'll just give it to John and Wayne. We'll be right.
Yep. Well, I'll come to you, Nacy, and then we'll get John in to talk about either what Luna was talking about or anything John wants to get into as well. So get ready. I'm watching the clock here to bring us back. Yes, indeedy.
15 seconds or 20 seconds?
I think you're... Kevin, you know what? I'm going to listen to you because you're always right. Aren't you? You always get it right, dude. Do you think about now, Kev? I think about now, right? I'm thinking we're about safe.
I can't confirm or deny that. My thinking may be altered by my PPP, but...
Yeah, no, you were even wrong this week, Kev. It was at least another minute from when I was looking at it there.
I had to reboot my device. It wasn't letting me unmute or anything. And did you get that message from the resolution Skype?
Oh, dude, I've got that many things going on in Windows open here. I'm getting messages from the future. Here we go. I'm going to bring it in. Welcome back, and I so wish I could give that Wookiee some kind of Australian, kind of bruce him up a little bit, you know, get a bit of Australian brogue to his grunt in there. But it's the Wookiee, and tonight he's an Aussie Wookiee. And talking of Wookiees, we've got him. He's back. Nacy, we found you, dude. You fell through a portal, but I'm glad to have you back with us, brother.
Well, if I may digress, Bonjour, Anin, Nacy Indigenikaz, Anishinabwem, Minowa, Kevin Richard Shores, Indigenikaz, Jaganashi Moog, Makwan Indundame, Ki Minowa, Gawa Babi Gani Kog, and Dunjiba, Moorhead, Minnesota, Nugum Day, Chi Miigwich Gitchimana Dua, Pe Gish, Mino Bimad, Ziwe Wiyan. Hello and hi. Thank you so much for this opportunity, universe, to share space with these incredible entities that I have come to, if I may confirm, friends. The Anishinaabe, we use the word Niji, and it's more than just friends. It means same, like we are mirrors of each other. Because as a Paleo-American and learning the parallel existence of the Paleo-Australians, I have absolutely confirmed that both of us indigenous peoples are continuously fighting the systematic genocide of not only our people, but the wealth of knowledge we have to share with the rest of the world that could potentially help us change direction of where we are possibly heading today. Chi Miigwech.
I want to change that, Kev. I don't think it could potentially help us. I'm more convinced than ever. The future will take care of itself so long as we look after the past and start remembering where we came from, who we are, and where we're going. That'll be all cool. I could be wrong, but I really think that this ancient wisdom, because that's what it is, folks. And like Donnie was telling us during the break, it doesn't go away. That dream time, it's a living thing. And what happened in the past, what's happening now, what happens in the future, it's a very fluid type thing we're talking about here. But listen, I want to get to one of our other guests before I forget to go there. Because before the break, we didn't have time to go to John. So John, I want to get your kind of first thoughts. You can either what Luna was talking about, what Wayne was talking about, or anything you want to put out there to the audience at this time, John.
Yeah, thank you, Kev. So just responding from everyone in our little circle, I just also like to do an acknowledgement. And I come from one of the biggest urban intertribal Aboriginal communities in Australia, in New South Wales. So I'd like to acknowledge my community. But I'd also like to acknowledge everyone in this cyber circle and all the listeners and hope that they're safe and well. And in doing that, what it does is it brings us back to what Wayne was saying, talking about the creation and what people call dream time, and also Nacy and Anne-Marie, Luna. You know, we're in a new system. So the technology today brings us all together from around the planet. And even with Wayne, his artwork, he paints with contemporary mediums of canvas and acrylic paint. But at the basis of all that is our traditions. So we're on a international cyber link, but we're still talking as a community and as a circle of people. So that's why I wanted to acknowledge all of you in this cyber circle, what knowledge and experience and wisdom you bring, and also the listeners, because they're also part of that circle.
You know, John, just that alone, there's something that typically people don't do. You never hear anyone, you know, when you're in a group of people or when you gather, when I do shows, something that never springs to my mind. But that's one of these little things, Scotty boy. It's one of these little bits we need to reconnect with. We need to remember that type of thing, and it changes the whole atmosphere of something, right? Because you hear somebody talking like that, and instantly it pulls everyone closer together. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I get that feeling though.
No, you're absolutely right, and John is absolutely correct. I mean, even though we're all connected via, you know, the internet, you know, this Skype conversation that we're on or whatever, we're still connected on a much deeper level, you know, and we're syncing up with each other if you really want to think about it that way, you know. We don't have to be physically in the same room to still put out our intent and have a conversation and put that vibe out there and connect with one another, and, you know, have this dialogue and talk about these things. And so, you know, or with Wayne, you know, he might be utilizing modern medium to produce his art or whatever, but it's the intent that he puts behind it, right? That's what's important, and he's imprinting, you know, the culture and everything is being put into that art, so he's preserving.
And look at our art over here. I mean, what is it, modern art? You tip out a bag of rubbish and people will pay like £1 million to take a picture of it because it's really, it's Art Nouveau, it's cool, man. I mean, what you know, you're talking about, it's hard to call that art when you hear about Wayne's art, something that's got value, something that like contains a story. It's like it's almost like a hologram, right? That one picture, it almost contains a part of the whole, you know.
He's transferring that information that has been passed down from generation to generation, you know, and it was preserved through all of the oral tales and the pictures, you know, and artwork, and it still preserved itself through all of that, and it's still coming out through Wayne, you know, and he's preserving it, and then, you know, for generations to come, you know, from that point on. I mean, it's amazing to think about, you know, that's what fascinates me about all of the oral legends and tales that have been passed down, you know what I mean? And it preserved the culture, and it preserved the history, and they didn't need a written language to do that. You know what I mean? That's what really is kind of mind blowing to me, you know, that they didn't even need to have a written language in order to preserve the knowledge. So yeah, my mind's blown, you know, already. I'm already like, whoa.
Yeah. And the other night, just on you go.
Add to that, sorry guys, I just wanted to add to that is these are tools. See, the internet, Skype, modern brushes and acrylic paint and canvases, they're tools, and we as human beings have used tools since creation. I think the thing that differentiates or makes it different in the way we use tools is the lens in which we see things. So, for instance, with Wayne, and I know Wayne, I've known Wayne for a long time, and I know what his art, and I know the power of his art. When he paints, he doesn't do a piece of artwork like you said, Kev. Some contemporary art can be very different. But what Wayne does is he uses his like the traditional lens of song, of his story, of his connection to country, to the spirit world, to his family and kinship, and he sings and speaks that into that artwork. So the artwork becomes another tool from painting on, like our people painted on bark, painted on our bodies, painted in caves, with rock art, and now becomes a fascination for archaeologists. But the lens is the important part, the traditional lens, and that's what Naisei was talking about, was the traditional lens and our traditional way of thinking and doing and being. And that's been under attack for a long time because it is very unique and it's very powerful. And people don't, even when we talk about the creation stories, often I'm sure many of the listeners and our circle won't understand the depth of what we're trying to communicate because it's a very different lens. So just a bit of a warning, some things we might talk about people won't really understand because the lens is so different, and the conditioning we get in mainstream society from, when we enter into the formal school system, we're conditioned through science and mainstream religion, and often that is very different to our ancestors' way of thinking. And that's what many Indigenous cultures bring, is we can still maintain the lens and spirit and understanding the world through our ancestors' eyes. Thanks for that, Kev.
John, don't thank me. Thank you, brother. Wow. I've got a funny feeling. I've got goosebumps here, Scotty, but I've got a funny feeling tonight's going to be very special. John, when you talk, you have a similar effect to Donnie and Uncle Lewis. I don't. What's this all about? We've ended up going down this Australian rabbit hole for a reason. We've got Naisei here as well, connecting the kind of different continents. I don't think we've accidentally ended up doing these flavour of shows. Scott, Naisei. I think there's a bigger reason, and I'm sure there's people out there, like you say, John, sometimes it might be hard for us to really appreciate what's been said. But I do feel it's like something bigger going on, like there's people out there that needs to hear this. Maybe some of us might not understand some of it, but somebody out there is needing to hear this, Scott, Naisei. I don't know, it just feels like there's something bigger when you're listening to this type of info. Tesla was great last week, right? Good fun, great info, great woo. But then you move on to a different plateau of information when you're kind of dealing with this, right?
This is like deeper level universal sort of knowledge and talk that we're talking about here, and I think it's because there's this underlying thing that we know that something bigger has happened, and that it really did occur back then. And I think it's, when you have these conversations with like Naisei, right, tying in the Paleo-American to the Paleo-Australian, tribes and their creation stories, and how they just, it's like they sync up. There's so many similarities between a lot of the things that are talked about, here in North America, or on this continent and in Australia. And it's like, well, these were supposed to be cultures that were separated and had no communication with each other, or no that they were supposedly isolated. But why do they talk about the exact same things, and why were they doing the exact same things, in many cases, and representing the same things on ancient petroglyphs, and you're seeing like a lot of the exact same things talked about and represented. And it's like, well, if we're to go there and then say, well, they weren't isolated, then that would shatter the paradigm of a lot of mainstream science and what we've been taught. And it goes back to what John was saying about the way we've been schooled, and it shatters all of those all of the things that we've been taught. And a lot of people they don't understand it, right? Because we've been conditioned to think one way, and it's not just through schooling, religion and mainstream religion and just a lot of different things that kind of shut off people's blinders and keep them where they don't really look in that direction or think like that, so it's wild stuff. Yeah, it's much deeper level kind of discussion. I think that's why it's so
big time. Luna, let me come to you. When we were talking to the Strongs the other night, they really made it really clear how we're going through a time of great change. I mean, everyone sees that right now, right? But I was really, what really got me when I was talking to them, they made a lot of things make sense to me, i.e. the way I've kind of throw my hands up in the air at times, like it's almost like I don't care about things. It's not that I don't care, it's just that I've let go. There's no point in getting too emotionally dragged down by things. But at the same time, it's hard to really accept that not everyone's at that stage of the journey, right? And it's hard to maybe sometimes let go, because there's going to be people around us, our friends, sometimes maybe partners, family. And it's not that they're any better or worse than us, or we're any better or worse than them. It's just they're not in that journey, that moment. It really became clear to me the other night, though. Would you agree that that is the time we're going through now? Is that what you feel as well?
I definitely do, Kev. And for some of us, we've been quite aware of this time, and we've been trying to help people out for a long time, getting them to go inside and do their work so they become strong, beautiful beings. And a lot of people have, like you said, a lot of people search, and sometimes you put your hands up in the air. You've got to let go. Sometimes you've got to empty everything out so you can be full of the right stuff, and Creator and that can fill you up with the right stuff, and that's a good move. A lot of people are hearing the call and they're waking up. The change is upon us, and unfortunately right now, it's happening whether ready or not. A few months ago I heard from up there saying, ready or not, here we come, virtually, and I was laughing because I thought that's so true. It's happening. We're in it right now, and everything that we talk about and have talked about, it's all meshing together. That's why I'm really glad that Wayne and John are here tonight, because they can give you a deeper view on how things are meshing together, because it is part of the dream time. It's the past, the present and the future, and you're starting to see everything culminate. And if you hang on to stuff, it'll blur your vision and your feeling, and it won't be as easy as it is for the rest of us to move forward and into the flow of change. So this knowledge to me is really important for those that are ready for that and have got to the point where they let go and they're ready to hear, what do I do now? How do I get through what's happening? Now I've let go and done all that work.
Okay, so I'm going to get Donnie and Wayne and John to comment on that, but Nacy, what do you say to that? This time of great change right now, would you agree there with what Luna was saying?
Yes, absolutely. The Anishinaabe, we call it the seventh fire prophecy. Some will call it the eighth fire prophecy, where we will acknowledge the potential of change that is there, and how we are able to manipulate the fields for the change to be positive for all of us. But unfortunately, as has been shared, because of the social conditioning that we have gone through, we have been more or less misled that through technology, this change is going to occur. And the challenge is trying to find the balance, as we're all around the perimeter of the circle looking within the center, which is the challenge. How do we equally, through balance, come to a conclusion? Because when we dream, it's the subconscious, and when we are consciously aware, it's the waking consciousness. So how do we find the balance between the two? My ancestors will actually try to make dreams come into fruition, because that is how we learn to overcome some of the challenges. The answers will come to us in dreams. And so it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to share how we can connect on this dream realm.
Well, you know, Kev, I was listening to Uncle Lewis the other day, and if I'd closed my eyes, I might have mistaken Uncle Lewis, his language, being your language. It sounded very, very similar. And I believe that even in the conversations you've had, Kevin, right, you found a crossover where there is an understanding in the languages, right? Despite the separation by continents and oceans, right?
Well, if you look at it in the frequency of the languages, it is more or less like a song. It's like music when you hear these indigenous languages being shared.
Yeah, I would agree. When you listen to the languages being spoken, there's more of a rhythm to it, that you hear the similarities in the rhythm, and it just seems like a much kind of, I would say, older way of speaking, right? That is more deeply understood, even if you were separated by, you know, different continents or whatever, that there was like some deeper level of understanding. Now, here's an interesting question then, Kev. Does this mean that at one point, you know, now let's look at this just kind of through this lens for a second. The Tower of Babel, right? At one time, did everybody speak the same language? Did we all have the same understanding? And it didn't matter where you were located on the planet, we all spoke the same language. And is that why that when you hear these indigenous languages spoken at some deep root level, there's like a deep understanding, and people still can kind of make out that there's, you know,
yeah,
it makes you wonder, you know, if there was something to that, like this universal language kind of thing.
If I could humbly add of it, what if we metaphorically think about it? The Tower of Babel, or the collapse of the Tower of Babel, was the powers that should not be disconnecting our ability for everyone to go into the so-called Akashic records, or to go into that dream, to the Bush telegram. And so they stopped us from being able to connect on a higher consciousness, and that's where they were successful.
Like a divide and conquer kind of strategy, right? You shatter the language and you disconnect everybody, right?
You see, you don't give them any attention, though. You don't give the powers that shouldn't be any attention. If you give them no attention, you give them no energy. If they have no energy, they're irrelevant. And we'll leave them behind where they should be, in a dark, horrible, low vibration, creepy world of their own making. That's my hope. That's what I think is going to happen with these big changes. But we've got about 3 minutes before we go to the break. So, Donnie, I'm going to come to you, brother, to take us up to the break. About this time of great change, what the Strongs were talking about as well. I mean, they talked about the ceremony they done at Uluru. What do you make of this time we're living in now, Donnie?
Yeah, it's going to be a big change coming. I don't know when or how, but it's going to be a big change.
It definitely feels that way, brother.
Yeah. That's all I've got to say at the moment, but there's definitely a change coming.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think we all, you know, I mean, I think we're already in that change. I mean, you can see how weird things have already gotten, right? I mean, I don't have to tell anybody how weird the last year has been on so many different levels, right? I mean, just so much craziness going on, and it was already getting weird beforehand, right, Kev? It's this like exponential curve of craziness. It just gets crazier and crazier and crazier, and I definitely think it has something to do with like this change that's occurring. I think there's like I don't know if it's like timelines that are phasing in and out. I mean, like Luna was saying, it's almost like the past, present, and future are all like starting to blend and meld and phase in and out. I don't know. It's strange, man, and I think that's why we've seen a pickup in all of this high strangeness, right? Like UFO activity, paranormal activity, Mandelas. I mean, everything across the entire spectrum of just weirdness, right? Just all kinds of anomalies on a scientific level, on all kinds of things. It's getting weirder.
It's getting weirder.
Can I say something?
On you go.
I believe it's more of a spiritual battle going on at the moment. Well, I can see it through my eyes, Scotty.
Hold that thought, Donnie. Hold that thought. We'll be back with the spiritual battle on the other side. Don't go anywhere. There we go. We're on the break, folks. So I'm going to go and get a cup. Luna, that looks like a rare big cup of tea you've got there. That looks like a soup bowl. Doesn't it? I'm telling you, that's a belter. I'm not going to make a cup of tea now. Yep,
that's the kind of coffee. That's the kind of coffee mug my mom likes to rock. She's got giant coffee mugs, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, John gave me that. Thanks, John. I'll have to send you one over, Scotty.
Nice. Yeah, we'll have to add it to the collection. Like I said, my mom has a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, it's like that, doesn't it? How many cups have we got now?
Exactly. Hey, she loves her coffee, so.
Good on her.
So when we come back after the break, how do you want to do this? Because I'm sure John's got plenty to say. I'm sure Nathan's got plenty to say. I'm sure Donnie's got plenty to say. I'm sure Wayne's got plenty. How do you want to do it, guys?
Yeah, I'm happy to pick up that from Donnie.
Oh, nice.
Wayne, I think Wayne's just gone for 5 minutes, but I'll pick that up to respond to what Naysay had said also, and
nice.
And Donnie, and then I'll throw it to Wayne, but
awesome.
Just when Wayne comes back.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And thank you, Luna, for helping put this together.
Oh,
awesome.
Anytime, too.
And of course, we're going to have more Australian guests coming onto the show. I don't know who Evan Strong has got in mind, but they really enjoyed it. I'm glad they did, because I really want to help them get that info out there. And bonus is we're going to get new speakers coming from Australia as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
There is one thing. Me and Donnie would really love to meet Stephen Strong. We've been trying to meet him for years.
Okay.
You got that right. I've been trying and trying. It just can't get older.
Okay, right. I'll leave that with me. I'll work my Scottish charm.
Oh,
I had to laugh when we got off the show. Stephen says to me, "Oh, Kevin, I love that accent." I'm thinking to myself, my accent? Dude, you've got the accent. You know what I mean? Scottish accent doesn't come close to Australian. Definitely not. But then again, I suppose being surrounded by Scottish people all the time doesn't really have that effect, right?
I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here with my milquetoast Midwest American accent. It's so boring.
No,
it really is.
Scott, no. Never. I'm watching the clock
And
here.
because I am not on the reservation, I'm not allowed to talk like we're regularly talking.
Nice, Nancy. Nice.
Oh my goodness.
So have you got did I hear you people down under have the cheek to say it's getting close to winter down there? Come on, it's all relative, right? Your winter's not like our winter. Come on.
bad enough. When you live in beautiful, hot, sunny weather and then it gets cold, you really feel it. By the time you acclimatise, it's summer again.
Oh, I'd be like Crocodile Inverness down there, man. I'd have my shorts on in the middle of winter. I'd be out sunburnt. And, you know what I mean? Yep, definitely.
Well, Kev, the coldest it's been here is minus 21.
Oof, that's cold. That's cold. Here we go.
That's a little chilly.
That's a little chilly.
You want to talk about cold?
There we go. We are back. We are live. Okay, not quite. Maybe in a second we will be back. These clocks need to get fixed, man. They need to fix it. It's making me look like a bit of an amateur hour. I am amateur hour, but I don't like people knowing that. Here we go. We're back. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Second hour already of today's Freaky Friday. It's going really quickly, and that's because we have got a stellar lineup on the show today. We've got people from Australia. We've got Kevin from North America representing the Anishinaabe. We got Scotty Lopez with his cracking Kansas accent. I love your accent, Scott. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, brother. I think it's cool. Yep. See. But today we are really getting into where we come from, who are we, where are we going. We're reconnecting with some very, very important ancient information and stories. And I want to thank Luna, I want to thank Wayne, I want to thank Donnie and John for joining us from down under. Like I say, Nacy, he really helped put this show together. And before the break, Donnie was getting into how he sees things right now, and he brought up the terminology spiritual warfare. Now, we've heard about that a lot here on the show. We talk about it a lot. And during the break, John, he said he would like to pick up from where Donnie left off. So, John, over to you, brother. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, thanks, Kev. Just with some of the things that have been thrown out with Nacy and Donnie, just bring that back like the boomerang comes back, I suppose. With, for instance, the Tower of Babel and the sense that we all spoke one language at one time. From our creation stories, we have very, very similar story when all the people spoke the same language. And then the great creator of all, because we weren't following the law that was set down by the great creator, he sent us away speaking different languages, and that's where all the languages of the people come from. And in Australia, we had around 500 languages, but we've had a lot of loss of that language. And when you look at Australia as a continent, in a funny way, Australia's had the most mammalian extinctions of animals in the world. So we've lost the most, types of birds and types of animals. And when we look at our culture, we've also lost a lot of languages. And we've got the highest language loss, highest extinction rate for a continent. And, as you'll hear, for instance, Wayne and I talk, we are all connected, and same as everyone in this circle as we talk, all our ancient cultures, we're all connected. We are connected to the circle of life. And when you harm the country, when you harm the living circle, you harm the people. So that destruction and that war on the natural world is also the war on us. And we also see things in a different way, and this is where I want to connect the Tower of Babel and connect that war. We have spiritual people, and I know Nacy's talked about, to me, the Madawan, and for us, we have the Wirangan in our language, Gamarai language, and for Wayne, the Ngungari. They're spiritual people that have trained and learnt to harness a special power that which they have been given to connect to the spirit world and bring us back to the one language, the one spirit language, because we are all part of each other. And I've seen the war on our spiritual power in Australia, where the natural world has been continuously destroyed, and our languages and cultures have been continuously destroyed. But that's something for us that is new. But for around the world, even for you, Kev, in Scotland, the connection to the spirit world and the connection to all those, the she and the spirit people, Dana she, I think they call them in I won't presume, but in your language is the same thing. So all around the world, there's been this war on the spiritually connected people, this people that have that spiritual power. And as if you hear the stories of us as Indigenous people, you'll hear about the genocides, the removal of the children into homes, stopping us from speaking our language, disconnecting us from our culture, sending people to boarding schools, residential schools. My mother was adopted. My grandmother was put in a home. My grandmother, after she had my mother, was sterilized by the state. Wayne's family tells the same story. We're all part of that stolen generations. And from an Aboriginal lens, I see that not just as a war on our Indigenous culture, but it's a war on the spiritual power which can actually contest and balance the dark powers of the world. And our healers and the Madawan, the Wirringan, the Ngungari, we hold that power to be able to see that dark power and that evil, and we are able to contest that and put it back in the balance. And I know Donnie's talked about the middle path, take the good and the bad from both and walk the middle road, and that's what our Nungaris and Wirringans and even I understand, Kevin, in the Gaelic culture,
Yep.
They had people that had that spiritual power, but these powers, through the medium of Christianity, through the mediums of science, the dark powers work within them to create that destruction. And that destruction is that ongoing war. And we are coming into a new phase because for us as Aboriginal people, we see that what comes from country can go back to country. Our languages have been lost, but we can bring them back. And the people that can do that are the people with that special power that they've been trained, like the Madawan, the Wirringan, the Ngungari. In our traditions, our ancestors 4 or 5 generations ago, our Wirringans seen the coming of the white man. And we had those Wirringans tell and warn the people that the white devils are coming, the wonder are coming. But the wonder in our languages doesn't mean a white person or a black person or any physical characteristic. It talks about how they are, and they're destructive. So the wonder are a destructive power. And we have names in our traditional way for all these spirit beings because, some people call them aliens, but we see them for what they are. They're spirit beings from different portals or different realities. And they're, and the Wirringan and the Ngungari and those people, the spiritual powers that have been trained to be able to communicate, we can shift in and out and see that. So they know that those evil beings, the wonders, they know that. And that's why this destruction has been wrought on Indigenous peoples for over 2,000 years, because those peoples that hold that power to be able to challenge them and keep them in check are a threat.
John, again, this is one of the first times where that's really made sense now. The orchestrated obliteration of cultures and people, and learning about it through Luna and Donnie, and I've gone and done reading myself about the lost generation and things, and it's sick, it's ill, but you know what? Now it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense why they would want to take out a people, almost like the one group of people, that are connected, Scott, to the energies, the stuff that we need at this time,
and look, this is something that's been happening for thousands of years, right? There's been this effort by the powers that shouldn't be to suppress this knowledge, right? This is the occulted knowledge that they don't want people knowing, and it's the ability to connect, right, and to have this true connection with nature and draw upon that power and be able to have the ability to use your intent and kind of manifest things into existence. If you have that ability, and you it's just they've completely disconnected people from that, from the way we used to do things, from the way we used to live, the connection that we had with nature and all of that stuff. There's a concerted effort that was made to disconnect the people from that, and then not only that, not just disconnect the people from it, but then try and erase any knowledge or anybody that had any remaining knowledge of how to do that, to keep them from teaching others on to how to do that, right? And so that's why the indigenous peoples of Australia were decimated. The indigenous peoples of the Americas were decimated because they were living in a totally different way that was not in line with the basically the control structure that was set up, right? And they were completely self-sufficient and independent, and didn't live in that paradigm or that grid. And it was something that had to be stamped out in their eyes, and so that's why we've seen that happen. And
well, Scotty, one thing that we are so fortunately blessed with, for lack of a better term, is that we have Wayne and John and Luna and Donnie, and they're in different areas of expert, not only physically in different areas, but of different expertise, because I believe it's Wayne is out of Perth, and that they're mobs for, as we call tribes, they call themselves mobs, so we have this incredible opportunity to learn from these different mobs. And I'd love to hear some more from Wayne, if you could, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Good call, Nisi.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to share a photo. It's on my phone. I'll just try to put it up on the screen. And the person I'm going to show you is my Ngungari teacher. He's passed on now, but he left me with the knowledge and to tell the story of healing and moving on. And I'll just show you quickly. And I'm not sure if you can see it or not.
There we go. Yep, see that.
Yeah.
It's gone off now. It's gone off now, brother. Okay. Yeah.
It timed out technology. Am I getting it right? No.
That's it. That's it. Yep. Yep. We see him now. Yep.
Wow.
So that was my teacher. And I spent a lot of time with him on the ground, on country, going out and, understanding what he's leaving me with. It's, it's a tool that I was destined to inherit. My mother was stolen generation, and she was totally removed from Central Australia and put on an island, thousands of kilometres away, and in a different country with a different tribal people. And she totally lost everything, no language, understanding of where she came from. But, the powers to be is given me that job, I would say, to take it on and to become the teacher and pass that cultural knowledge on. And it wasn't an easy journey. I mean, I took many years of going back on my country, learning, and at a young age I didn't really understand what I was learning, but it was it's making sense today. And just to share some more experiences, when I went to Canada, I went through a healing lodge, and in the healing lodge they were singing the tribal songs. So I connected with those songs without anyone teaching me at all. I was singing those songs without actually knowing the words at all. I was in rhythm. I picked it up after the first, say, 10, 15 minutes in the healing lodge, and realized that I was connected. You know, I went halfway, you know, right across the world, and I was connected. And when I applied to go over there, it was a traditional healing and conference. So I was able to be invited to the healing lodge, and that was connecting me with other Indigenous people. And that was my first trip out of Australia ever in my life. And I felt like I was meant to be here. I was meant to meet the people on my journey. I'd met people with my same name, my second name. And Davis is, you know, that name comes from Wales.
Yep.
So my great-grandfather is a Welshman, as far as I'm aware. So we maintain that name. And there is a strong connection to that country. You know, there's always something culturally pulling me to corners of the earth that, you know, journey's not over yet, but that's where, you know, that reconnection and getting our, connection in the spiritual world and the physical world. You know, you can go anywhere in the world, and I know that we'll be connected, and it doesn't matter which tribal group you go to, you will be connected. We never lost that connection at all. It's always been there, and Scott mentioned before too about you know, the change coming. The change is here. It's been happening for some time, and I think we're part of that change. We're the people here that are sitting and talking today about where we're going, you know, from where to from here. And I think it's us sitting around here telling our stories, and I think those little things I wanted to share. And I'll bring up an image later about, you know, the story with the universe and my art, and I can show you what I was talking about with the dreaming of the emu in the Milky Way, and it sort of starts to, you know, make it a bit more solid, and you can see why we tell stories through art, and how my art mirrors the universe. So whatever is up in the universe is mirrored onto the Mother Earth. So it's just something that, you know, for us to think about, and where we're going, where to from here.
I like it, Scott. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And you know, when Wayne was talking about, you know, how they can see the Milky Way out there, you know, in Australia. I mean, it makes me think about, I mean, if you really think about how vast that, you know, there is no lights, no cities, no nothing for what, hundreds and hundreds of miles, right? I mean, we're talking about the things you would actually see in the sky on a perfectly clear night. You would probably be able to see things that you never ever would be able to see in any sort of populated area. I mean, even if you were out in the country here in Kansas, there would still be so much light pollution just from cities, you know, around, you know, that you really could, with the naked eye in Australia, I mean, clearly see the Milky Way and probably see features that you are not going to just be able to see, and unless you were using some kind of a long exposure technique or something on a camera, right? But to be able to see it with the naked eye, I mean, and then it makes you wonder what they were seeing in the sky back in the day, when
the star people were coming down, Scott.
That's
the star
what I'm
people.
saying, man.
Yeah, Luna's sitting smiling.
Yeah.
Luna, you obviously watched the show the other night with Evan and Stephen Strong. That skull, that one skull. There's like many skulls they show, but that one skull is the one where I had to. I remember throwing my pen down and thinking, how haven't I seen this before? I needed to see this a long time ago because it would have really confirmed a lot of stuff, right? But the spiritual warfare we've been talking about here, Wayne's been talking about the universe, the paintings as well. I want to get your take, if I can, on this spiritual battle that's going on right now, because I know you're somebody that is, I want to say you're amongst a handful of people that I know that I can genuinely, hand on heart, say is connected to something greater than us, beyond the veil type thing. So what do you get at this time, about this time?
Okay, from my point of view, when John and Wayne were talking earlier and connecting in with your culture, I've seen the battle go on for that long. It's gone all around the world and it's come back to here. That's how I've seen it. We've battled the same thing over and over in different scenarios, in different places. We seem to be all the same people doing the same stuff. And it's culminated to now. Now is very different to any other time that we've been through it. I think because this time it's the last time. I think we're going to prevail this time. And having people like Wayne and John and others that are coming in the future standing up and speaking up and getting that knowledge out, which makes healing and love in the end, that's the powerful tool that we have. Like Wayne said, we are the change. We're here, and there's no doubt in that. And all those that are hiding, it's time to stand up. It's time to stand up and say, yes, this battle, it's time for it to be over. We can't take any more. Our spirits can't take any more. I'm sure Creator and the Mother have seen enough. And the way cycles are, we're at that point in the cycle where they say the tail of the snake and the head of the snake, the tail and the head have met together. That's where we're at now. And you can just tell by the way spiritual people are standing up. You go back in history before we were burned at the stake, drowned, killed off, like Note that was saying earlier, all our cultural people were killed off because they knew. They knew from way, way back then. I'd love to really go back in time and look at the day that it actually happened and the battle began. But we're in it now, and I have no doubt we're going to win. We just got to go through the motions. This is the motions. But we need everyone who has it in them. Please, we need you to shine. We need you to love. We need your compassion. We need all those gifts that Creator gives us.
And here's the thing, because if you're, sorry Luna, but if people are listening to this, we've got a few thousand odd probably tuning in on radio, 140 over here on YouTube. World of 7.5 billion, nothing. But it doesn't matter, because like I said in opening up, not everyone is at the point where they need to hear this message. But I would like to think that anyone that's tuned into this, whether it's live or whether you watch it on a replay or catch it later, somebody gives it to you, I would say that you're meant to be hearing this. And like Luna's saying, you're the people out there, you that's listening and watching right now, you're the people that are really appreciating where we are in this game, in this cycle. And I just want to acknowledge all the people out there in the audience, like John did when he first spoke. Now, there's a heck of a lot of noise coming from somewhere, guys. I don't know what it is, but it's bad. Real bad. That's it. No. Somebody talk something to try and knock it off.
And
well, one thing, if I could go back to John.
It was you, Nacy. It was you. It was you. On you go, Nacy. On you go, brother. We've got 2 minutes.
I'm hearing hissing as we're talking.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to share that is so unique, I believe, with John is he had the ability and was fortunate to come to North America. And actually, the first time that I had the opportunity to talk to him, he was speaking my language. And so I'd love to hear from his perspective of the parallels between my people and his people.
Well, we've got 1 minute before we go to the break. We don't even have 1 minute. So we'll pick that up on the other side. And then I think the best thing to do, I know Wayne's got his paintings that we want to see. We definitely want to see that. We've not heard enough from Donnie yet as well, so I want to get more from Donnie. And Donnie, I'm just going to hand it to Donnie and he can go where he wants. I'm going to do the same with John. I'm going to do the same with Luna. I'm going to take it easy, Scott. I've sussed it out. Moving forward, folks, I'm telling you, I've got it all sussed here. Join us after the break for more Freaky Friday on your #1 network, Truth Frequency Radio. Reconnecting the tribes. I don't know where that came from, the reconnecting the tribes, but it felt good. It sounded right. You know?
It's starting to come out of you now, Kev.
I'm telling Dave is enjoying the experience, Luna. That's all I can say. Dave's happy. So come on, Donnie. We're on the break, but we've still got like 100 odd people listening. What's the story with Dave, man? You've got to tell me, dude.
Well, don't worry about that. I will.
Oh, that's worrying that he won't do it right now. Now somebody's dropped off the call again. I don't know what's happened. Somebody started sharing. No, somebody started sharing screens. That's what it is.
There we go.
Wayne.
It's not
that was me. I was just trying to
Wayne,
find
if you find, see if you drop the paintings into the chat on Skype, I'll be able to bring them up.
Okay.
Yeah, if you open up, there should be a little speech bubble saying chat, and then if you open that up, you'll be able to drop in images there, and I can pull them up at this end.
Okay, so, but they're on my USB. I'm not sure how to do that. I'll have to.
If you open up your if you put your USB in and you open up the folder they're in, just drag and drop it into Skype.
Yeah, but I'm really not sure how to do that.
That's okay, dude. I'm trying to think.
It doesn't give me an instruction how to.
Does the data stick open the artwork straight away?
If I open it up,
data stick in, does the images come up?
No. It's
Can you go?
It's not on Skype. So.
Are you on Windows?
Yeah, but I'd have to drop off the screen, the Skype, to get to my USB.
Press the little middle. You know how you got a minus, a little box, and then a cross on the top right-hand side of your window for Skype?
I'd have to drop it. I have to minimize the screen, though.
Yeah, that's okay. Just you minimize that, you'll be okay.
Okay, and then, now what do I do? Find my USB, did you say, Johnny?
Yeah, so now can you access your USB through folders? You see a little folder? Bottom left-hand corner of your window.
When you put the USB in your computer, did you get an activation window where it asks you what you would like to do?
No, because I put it on some time before, but I'm having trouble signing in now. I don't know what's going on. My computer's giving me headaches.
Do you have a little computer icon in your browser window or in your menu bar?
I've got the media folders, but I'm having trouble. I'll just try. I'm having trouble signing back in for some reason. I'll just try it again.
Scotty Lopez, do your magic and just join his computer.
Scott's our technical guy.
Okay, I'm back.
See, we all have trouble with tech. Remember on the show I said before the show, I said the only problem I have is the tech.
Here we go.
Have problems.
Here we go, guys. Here we go. Sorry, Luna. Here we go.
Yeah.
Stand tall in the face of tyranny. I want it all on my freedom and liberty. I'll keep my and keep your security. I'll stand
yes, indeed.
Stand tall in the face of tyranny.
We are standing tall in the face of tyranny.
And keep your security. I'll stand tall.
Boom, boom, boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One of these days I'll win the battle. It's like a rap battle coming in from the break these days. I'm telling you. Keeps you on your toes. It sure does. But listen, we're moving into the second half of what has already been a very, very, very deep and brilliant Freaky Friday. We've got Luna, we've got Wayne, we've got John. Part of me is wanting to say John Wayne, but I'm not going to go there yet. I could also say, I could also have a Bruce Wayne as well. Yeah, but hey, that's a bad joke, got you. But we've got Donnie, we've also got Nacy, we've got Scotty, we've got me, we've got Dave. Did I miss anyone out, Scott? I don't think so. No?
I don't think so. I think we're on track here.
Well, I think the best thing to do really here is for me to shut up and for us to get to hear the people that are here to speak today. So I want to come to John first, if I may. And John, I want you to talk about anything, brother, because I can tell that you've got things to say, and I suspect people need to hear them. I'm looking forward to hearing you talking further. But over to you, John. What would you like to get into now, brother?
Yeah, just with my Niji there, and Nacy asked about my experience when I come to visit Anishinaabe communities in Turtle Island. So I know Wayne has had the same experience, and we've been drawn to create that connection. And my connection come from a brother that had come to study at Macquarie University where I work, and I was a student at that time, and he was sitting in the Indigenous Studies room, and his name is Donald Lyons, and he's actually same people as Nacy, and his family is also from very similar place to Nacy. So I seen him in the Aboriginal Studies room, and I looked him up and down and thought, who's this guy? And he opened his mouth, and I thought, oh, well, he's not Aboriginal because his accent's totally different. But we brought him home and adopted him into our family. We're Black Snake Clan. That means we're the Black Snake people, and he's actually Bear Clan. So he invited me over, and I went to visit his family. And when I went on that journey, it was a journey of reconnecting, because Anishinaabe and our people, the Māori people, and all Aboriginal people in Australia, we are, in many ways, we are just the same. We are the same. And the way we do business, the way we connect, the way we have cultural protocols, the way we acknowledge and have a kinship system. Like, as I understand, when I learned Anishinaabe Morwen, the language, Nacy's language, I visited community, and I went into a language nest, into a language school where you only speak Anishinaabe Morwen, no English. So I learned really quickly how to introduce myself and some different words. And the word dodem or totem in English is it's the same concept for us for dinga or di in our language. It's a clan animal that connects you to people through kinship, but not just people. It also connects us to our furry, our feathered and scaly relatives, because we're all part of that family in the circle of life. And one of the really important things that I learned is that we're resilient, strong, loving, caring, kinship people. We care about each other, but we care about the natural world. That is a part of our belonging. And we come to our belonging through that negotiation to place, and we are created to place. Just as Australia as a nation is created to this continent, Anishinaabe people are created to place, Murri people are created to place. And there's a strong power in that connection, in that resilience, in that healing. And I know often the listeners and us, we do get down, and we do allow that shadow to creep in, and it does affect the way we think and the way we talk and the way we do. But there's a power in our cultures that is about healing, and Wayne mentioned that. It's the power and strength of healing, and that connects us all through that great creator. And these dark powers, they're here for a reason too. And like Wayne and I, we're both trying to get into fitness again and get our health back and get on track, because our professional life and our cultural life, it's very demanding. What it's like eating burgers, and where our health goes down. But we're trying to get back to being healthy. And I went to the gym yesterday with my nephew, so I'm really sore. And this is, like, metaphorically speaking, the dark powers make us sore, but yes. And we give us pain. But same as going to the gym, there's no pain, no gain. So spiritually, we have to, in many ways, face adversity to take us to the next level as human beings and as spiritual beings. So there's rhyme and reason for all things, and that's a great plan that the great creator has put down for us. But the thing is that I want to talk about is that healing power. We are all worthy beings. All our listeners, all of us in the circle are worthy beings, and we have to focus not on the deficits, because the dark side love the deficits. We always get caught into the deficits in mainstream media about, for instance, the pandemic and this thing and that thing, and automatically we go through to the negatives. But what I found when I sat with my Anishinaabe family is they are resilient. They've been through smallpox that has wiped out 90% of communities like our people, and they were strong and they survived, and they're here today and they're powerful. And their knowledge is coming back from country and from the spirit world back to the people. And it's the same for us as Aboriginal people. That power of healing, what comes from the earth goes back to the earth, but again, in that cycle, Mother Earth brings it back through us. So for all the listeners, if we're feeling, that sense of darkness, be assured that that power of healing will come through, and that vision and that voice of our ancestors can come through. We just need to connect, and Indigenous people all around the world are struggling and fighting that fight. But the thing is, we've got to be mindful to not fall into the deficit, but to take the power and strength of the light and the good things, the resilience, the love, the kinship. And as I said, no pain, no gain. So it's about that walk, all of us, individually and as a circle. So that's what I learned from the Anishinaabe people, and they're my family, and they say is part of that family. And the world, us human beings are a family. So that's what I just wanted to put forward, and maybe Wayne can talk a little bit about that later if he can get his artwork up. But I'll just throw it out there. Let's talk and be positive and speak that light into what we're doing.
Oh, I'm liking it. I'm definitely liking it. Now, Wayne,
Kev,
when you go, Kev.
If I can add to a little bit of the woo, as I've shared space with these incredible entities and the whole, if you want to call it the Bush Telegraph, and then having this new relationship with John. So because he was adopted when he came to America with the Bear Clan, then technically that makes me and him relative and brothers.
Got you.
And not only that, if you recall how much I've been talking about my fascination with the serpent mound or the snake mound, then to hear John talk about the black snake mob or clan, it just gave me some major goosebumps. And I'm like, this is that synchronicity, that we are on the Bima Ziwe, we on the path of helping us all. And if we can keep connected, whether it be through technology or the Bush Telegraph, then the more power to all of us to help be the positive change that we can manipulate and create. Sorry, thank you.
No,
Miigwech.
okay, awesome. So, Donnie, is this the middle path that you talk about? Walking that middle path?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'd just like to say something to Naysay. Ever since I've gone on this path I'm on now, I was given a feather. The feather came from America. It came from a First Nation mob, and it's a raven's feather. And I remember Naysay saying, if he wanted to get in contact with him, it's through a raven. And I got in contact with him. That's the Bush Telegraph for you.
Now, Naysay, I'm going to bring you in here because I had picked up on a little bit of this listening in when I come and kind of listen in to all you people speaking on Discord, because I'm like a voyeur, Scott. I'm like a stalker. I just listen. I do enough talking, so I want to listen to people. But I heard that there had been a bit of intercontinental bush telegraphy. I like that. That's a new phrase. So yeah, I like it. Telegraphy, bush telegraphy across the Pacific. Naysay, so did this happen then? Did Donnie get to you through the Raven?
Well, this is the beautiful experiences that we get to share, that we have a challenge sometime to absolutely acknowledge how we're utilizing technology to connect, whereas in a past moment we were able to use this Bush Telegraph to connect. And this is where we were talking earlier about the Tower of Babel. Maybe they collapsed that ability when we all had the potential of connecting each other on a greater aspect than just this technology of Skype. And I want to talk to Luna, because we talked last night, and Luna, I don't know if you woke up this morning, but we definitely were connecting on a dream world, because I was in Australia last night when I was sleeping, and I have some stuff to share with you with that, which was remarkable.
Please do, Naysay, because you kept waking me up.
I think you did the same to me.
No, that would be good to hear, Naysay. Thank you.
Well, I was, just to generalize the dream real quick, I was in Australia and trying to reconnect with you, Luna, and Donnie. And I found myself caught in a mall. And I couldn't find my way out of the mall. And I was talking to all these original entities, trying to get them to assist me, but they all were confused and not knowing. They knew of you two, but they didn't know how to get a hold of you. And so it made me think of how, so many people there are lost with our connection to these indigenous people, to help them find the way, to help them see the light in the darkness so we can reconnect. And so I apologize if I was keeping you late, but
It's okay.
keeping you up.
Scott, you can just picture that happening. Naysay dropping into a psychic realm somewhere, and all the entities that are there going, well, where'd this guy come from? And he's pestering them. Where's Luna? Where's Donnie?
Well, you know what? I'm just picturing like these negative entities setting up a mall trap for Nasek, right? And they're trying to lure him into the food court, right? Because there's some snacks and everything
Buffalo
there.
burgers are smelling good today, you know.
The scene.
I'm laughing because just over the river is a mall. So you nearly made it, Naso. You just had to cross the river, because if I walk back that way, I'll cross the river and then there's the big shopping mall.
That's
and
bizarre.
It takes like 20 minutes to walk there. That's how close you were.
That's bizarre.
Should have asked the pants.
And he was waking you up as well, Donnie, is that right?
Yeah, he did.
Naysay, please try and confine me in a dream, because my dreams are really, I rarely dream. When I dream, they're vivid though. Oh boy, they're vivid. So come and give me a call sometime, Naysay.
I would put it out there, Kev, that your smart city makes it a lot more difficult.
Dude, it's like even when I was like growing up and things, it's like honestly, honestly, before Glasgow became smart, and it's not that smart now, trust me. Only a namesake. Nah, I don't think so, dude. It's just the dreaming thing, man. It's like it's either on or it's off in me. But when it's on, oh boy, it's on. Oof. Scotty, like too vivid. And then I had that crazy bout. Remember the Chantix I took to try and stop the smoking? Wow, man. That sends you into a negative realm. I'm telling you.
I think that unlocks some deep, dark something in the brain, and then it does something weird. Yeah, that whole thing with the Chantix was.
Yeah. Well, we've got about 10 minutes before we go to the break here. Wayne, how are you getting on there, brother? You look like are you making headway getting this painting for us? I think you are. Maybe.
Yeah, I put a painting across, but it wasn't the right one. But it's an image. But I'm working on how to get the right painting across.
I tell you, the way this show is panning out, it's going to come right in the final segment. It's going to be the icing on this very special cake that we're putting together here today. John, Donnie, Naysay, who wants to take it? Luna, who wants to take it from here?
I'll just add something to what Naysay said about travelling and dreaming. When you're aware of these things, it's really, really important to be a good person and not do anything wrong and not go into wrong energies. Because if you find yourself visiting people, it's like in reality, when you go to visit someone's house, you want to be respectful and on good behaviour. Because spirit world is a vast place and there's no fences or walls, so we're quite aware of everyone that travels in that world, and yeah, it's just good to be on your best behaviour when you go to visit someone.
I was
not saying that you weren't, Naysay.
I was listening to you talking in the Discord the other day, and it was fascinating because you were talking, I don't know if it was something that was recent, Luna, or whether it was something in the past, but there was somebody that was very not well, not long to go at all. And you were talking about how just the whole experience, how it sounded very different from the way we do it here.
Yes.
And the effect that even, medication can have at that time. Could you kind of tell that story to the audience? Thank you.
Yeah, it was a job that Creator set up because that particular day I found myself with nothing to do and the work phone rang, and it was the lady in distress. Her mother was, I have to say the numbers because this is really important too. She was 77 years old and she was in the old person's home passing away, and her two youngest daughters were very spiritual, and she had 7 children and they were the 2 youngest of 7 children. And they wanted me to come and make sure that her pathway is clear for when she passes and that everything that needed to be done was done, and that because she was in a nursing home, there was no dark energy and that preventing her from crossing over. And it was local to where I was, and it just happened to work out, which meant that I was the person for the job. So I took myself over there. It worked out very well. As I walked in, there were 7 spirits waiting for her to take her over. And this number 7 just kept ringing and ringing, considering too that I read the 7 Sisters today.
That's why it really, when you were telling the story and I was listening, I was thinking, wow, 7, that's going to be important anyway on Friday. So I picked up on that as well, yeah. Weird.
Yeah, so I saw the lady, and I actually saw her in my mind before I went round there, and as I walked in the room, it was the exact same picture, but she was more beautiful than I saw. And the woman had had a stroke, so she couldn't talk. She could move her eyes and her eyebrows and a little bit of her lips, and they wanted me to like intuit and listen to her and tell them if there was anything left to say. And I had to ask them when I went in, is she on any medication? Because a lot of the time when old people go to hospital or the nursing home, she was in the hospital part of the nursing home, they give them this medication that kind of keeps them alive longer than they should be. And it's akin to amphetamine. I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you exactly, but it's kind of like that, and it keeps them up and bright. And I've encountered this before, and what that means is that until the drug's out of their system, their spirit's going to have a hard time leaving their body, and the people waiting to take them over, everything's put on delay because of the drug in the system. But this lady, fortunately, her daughters were aware enough to know not to do that, and she just had a breathing thing and a little bit of morphine to ease the pain in her body because she had a stroke. But the way we were talking about it and what you heard, Kev, it was a very beautiful, loving thing. And the love in that room was so beautiful, and the light, and you could tell Creator was there. And the way we addressed the death was unlike the whitefellow way, because there's preparations to be made in the living and in the person ready to pass, and for the spirit people. And you've got to cleanse, and there's a whole lot of levels to do. These young women, they did it. I was so proud of them. And what it told me, they weren't Aboriginal women, but they still had it in them to know what to do spiritually. And that tells me that everyone's waking up. That's how I know everyone's waking up, right? And their heart was bright, and the love, it was a really good thing. It was hard. It's very hard because it's emotional, and we had tissues and that for tears. I come home, I'll be honest, I come home and bawled my eyes out, and it felt like I took some of their pain so they could continue the process, what they had to do, because they had burial and all that stuff that's in the future for them. There was a lot there. But for me, it's a natural thing. I talk about it naturally, and then I hear myself talking and go, wow, that must sound weird to other people, like when you were hearing it.
I actually, I've always looked at the way, like the white fella, like you say, the way we do like mourning and grieving and stuff like that over here, Scott. And this is myself, I'm talking about myself here. When I find myself crying or upset, it's not because of the other person, it's because of what I've lost. It's really selfish, really, you should really be celebrating maybe. And appreciating the fact that person's that celebrate their life, celebrate the next part they're moving on to. But no, it's because we can't do something with that person anymore. We won't be able to see them anymore. It's weird, but I hope it kind of makes sense what I'm saying, but I've always kind of thought, over here we should do it differently, it's a bit dark, always too dark.
Yeah, I mean, you should celebrate the person's life and the fact that their soul is moving on to the next level. They've done their time here. They're shedding the meat suit, right, and they're potentially, going on to a higher plane. You should be celebrating that wow, they don't have to deal with the crap that we have to deal with on this plane of existence anymore. They're moving on to and you celebrate them and you celebrate their life. And sure, I mean, it's a sad thing that you're not going to have that person in your life anymore, and you're going to feel that loss, but you should also, feel some relief in the fact that they're not suffering anymore. They don't have to deal with any of the problems that plague them, and that their soul lives on forever. We're energy beings, and we they live on. They're not gone.
Level 2.
they're just, it's like, look, it's like when you're playing the video game and your friend makes it to level 2, but you're still stuck on level 1. You're like, man, you're sad you can't go to level 2.
You're
but
talking about me, Scott. He's talking about me dying every time I play Call of Duty with him. He's trying to be nice. He is. Yeah.
But no, and then eventually, hey, you'll end up joining them. You'll end up meeting them again, and you'll reconnect because we're all connected. Going back to what what we were saying earlier, we're all connected. Our souls are connected, and even then, even if they do pass away, we have these paranormal experiences where, hey, maybe they do get in touch with you. From beyond that, and so they might come back and let you know, hey, I'm still here, whatever. But yeah, I don't think it should. The way we do burials and funerals here, I don't know. It's kind of real downy and downer, and it's macabre, and it's like when you should be kind of celebrating the person's life instead. I think,
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
I agree.
2 hours down, 1 hour to go. Sorry, Luna. But we're going to be back on the other side. And don't forget, coming up, as always, after Freaky Friday, we're the warm-up act. Because then Brent Thomas will take you through the paranormal portal right here on Truth Frequency Radio, tfrlive.com, and also on Brent's YouTube channel. That's Paranormal Portal. You can catch Brent 7 nights a week. He's prolific. And it's always, always a great woo. And we have got the artwork ready to go when we come back after the break. And it's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. It's all the colours, Scotty. If you just look at that, you know it's Australian. Yes, you do.
Coming back after the break is a didgeridoo.
Nice. There we go. Yeah, I've got that didgeridoo music as well that Donnie sent me. I'll need to get a hold of that again. That is some awesome tunes. Wayne, that is absolutely beautiful, brother.
That is
I know you've all disappeared off the camera, but I just pulled it up quickly there. I'm going to save it and then put it on the screen. There we go.
Yeah, it's like about 10 stories in that. There's so many stories in that one painting.
Oh, that's magical, man. This is going to be awesome. Here we go. I'm so glad you managed to get it sent through.
We can't let technology beat us.
Nope. Definitely not. Definitely not, man. Oh, that is awesome. Just get ready. See if I've got a screen we can go to for that. I'll find one. We'll have one. Don't worry, folks. We'll get there. We'll get there. Donnie, you're awfully quiet tonight, man, and I'm really paranoid because I'm trying to get everyone to have as much time to talk. So I don't want anyone...
I prefer to sit back here and listen. It's John and Wayne's turn to have a yarn now.
Yeah, Donnie's not going to...
That's why I'm sitting back and listening.
Donnie's not going to talk to me until I get him a face-to-face meeting with Stephen Strong. I get that feeling.
Yeah.
No,
have you ever heard...
Oh, go ahead, Donnie.
Yeah. Kev, have you ever heard of La Perouse?
No, I don't think I have, brother, no. Now, that sounds like something that's crossed with a kangaroo.
No, it's a French settlement that was in Australia.
No, I've not heard of that, no.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, now it's intriguing. Oh, no.
He left it out. It's kind of tingling for you, Kev. Now you're gonna have to
Dave's laughing in the background. He must know about it. John and Wayne must be thinking, is Kev like registered schizophrenic? No, it's just I embrace my multiple personalities, guys. It's just I'm mad. Deal with you. The audience love it. I think. I hope. Anyway, let's see the time. On that note, anywho, let's see. We have got, wow, over in TFRs. You know, you always know it's a great show when the chat numbers on TFR kind of stay the same or they grow throughout. And it kind of stays on topic. So that there should be a big pat on the back to all of you. And guys, before we do go back, can't thank you enough for this today. I know it's kind of all over the place because we've got a big number of people on the panel. But I tell you what, I think this has gone better than I had imagined. When I woke up this morning, I thought this could really, with so many people and going all the way around the world, and Skype everyone, you know, I thought this could go horribly wrong. But Scotty, I think it's gone pretty good, right? Touch wood.
Yeah, so say so.
Yeah.
So far, so good. So far, so good. And like I said, I mean, it's amazing what we can do nowadays with technology.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Let's see. Here we go. That'll do us. Nathan's probably going to say, wait a minute yet, but we'll try it. Here we go.
Dinner one.
Let's see. There we go. Perfect timing as usual. We come back from the break and we are moving into hour number 3 right here on your very favourite Freaky Friday. And if you're at the home of Freaky Friday over at tfrlive.com, massive thank you. Remember Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal, coming up after Freaky Friday. And this week, try something new. There's 33 shows, I believe. Yes, that number 33 purposely over there. And I've got so much to choose from. There's a bunch of shows you're going to love. There's probably going to be a bunch of shows you're going to hate. There'll be a bunch of shows, meh. But that's what free speech radio is all about. And there's something for everyone. So please visit tfrlive.com and share it out on social media, or as I like to call it, anti-social media. So then, we're having a very special broadcast tonight. If you're just joining us, we've got people from Australia. We've got Luna. We have got Uncle Wayne, Uncle John, Uncle Donnie. We've got Nacy coming to us from the Anishinaabe. And we've got Scotty Lopez. Scotty, me and you, the odd white fellas out here, man. See, we put back in our place tonight. I'm telling you. I like it. I like it because you're like me. We kind of listen when we're hearing this info because you got to take it in. You got to absorb it, man. It's like a different level of woo.
Yeah, I mean, look, even as somebody who has, I've been quote unquote awake or whatever for quite a long time, and I'm a very open person to many different cultures and beliefs and all of that stuff, and it's still hard to wrap your mind around some of these concepts and stuff like that, and that's why I'm glad that we have so many different people to talk about this and bring in so many different perspectives, because then it really helps paint a bigger picture and helps you understand a lot of these things. And I think intuitively with people like us in general, who I think we were always born, we were born to question things and think about kind of like these higher level questions to the universe and where, what's our place in the universe and all of these things. And I think for people like us, we have kind of that deeper feeling that there's something a lot more to whatever this is that we're experiencing right now, right? And we're drawn to this stuff, and we're drawn to having these conversations. And I think in a way it's kind of like a genetic memory that's like, we know that we need to be talking about these things. We know that we need to go back and reconnect kind of with the old way of doing things. And it's we're just kind of being magnetically drawn to this information, and we're being magnetically drawn to talk about this stuff. So it's really cool. It's really cool, man. It's like you said, Kev, once you started kind of doing these shows, these Australian shows, and you read that book, it's almost like you had this deep feeling that there was something that was drawing you towards this information. And if it's a genetic memory or what, I don't know, but there's some reason.
Donnie knows, but he won't tell us. See,
like my old cousin. Like my old cousin used to say to me, it's bred into you, so it's there all the time.
I like it, Donnie. I like it. Now, at one point during that little piece where Scott was talking there, he talked about painting a picture. And that's a really good segue to where we're going next, because I'm going to bring up a piece of artwork here. And Wayne, if you don't mind, sir, if it's okay if I could share this in the chat room over at TFR Live, so the radio audience can see this as well. But I'm going to bring this onto the screen right now. Here we go. Talk to us about what we're looking at here, Wayne.
Well, this painting is actually all my paintings, like all my paintings, they're spiritually driven. My past ancestors speak to me and guide me on every bit of piece of work that I put on canvas. So it's not something that I read and want to put in there. It's something that comes to me spiritually. So in this painting, it's got physical and spiritual connections to land and country, and how our land is, custodians in the physical form, in the spiritual forms. And this story came through by, I put the portals there because there's the lightning man dreaming up on the left-hand corner, which he brings the rain and the thunders and the lightning. He waters the land. And we have on to the right side in that portal is the two women spirit that travels right across Australia. They have a really big role in looking after country, and they're depicted as not in the human form, but they're depicted in a spiritual form, because they are very powerful women, and they have a really powerful role across our great land, and it'll probably even extend to other places in the world. And then, it's a map about desert country, the desert floor, sand hill country, the connections, sites of significance. All the little circles represent sites. They're really important places. And in the center circle, I've called that's the rain from the lightning man. So the rain is coming down, and the rainbow serpent is never to be seen. He's behind that. He travels across the land because he's never been seen. He's when you know that the rain is traveling across the land, you know the rainbow serpent is on the move. So he's traveling across this great land, and you can see some pools of water. You can see the vegetation on the ground. You can see the sand dunes all surrounding the movement of the rainbow serpent in the centre. And then when you come down to the bottom left-hand side, you see our warrior. He's a Kadich warrior, he's a Majara warrior, he's a Nalyawara warrior. He's all warriors. He's overseeing. He's our physical and spiritual warrior. And we do undertake this today. So nothing's really lost. This is still going today. And on the right-hand side, you see the emu in the Milky Way. And I believe John's got another image up, which you might show as you go further into this. But that emu was the one I was talking about, and we call that Ilerawara. Ilerawara is our dreaming place. We have a homeland, like a homeland that is in our Kadich language and our group. Ilerawara is the emu. He's the birthplace of that emu. Now, a lot of people in Australia, a lot of Aboriginal people will have their stories on emu, kangaroo, whatever animal that exists in Australia. Everyone will have their own links to these particular animals. What I'm sharing today is how my mother is part of this emu dreaming. So that means it's something that we don't hunt for food. It is sort of taboo for us to hunt for the emu. The emu is really important to our people. So what I've tried to depict in the painting was capture all aspects. And as I mentioned previously, the stories don't come from any book or anything that I've read. It is given to me spiritually. So as soon as I put paint to canvas, it's staged. It comes in when I need to hear the messages. If I don't hear the messages, I won't work on my art. It's as simple as that. I would have to wait and be patient for those stories to come, and then the outcome is a great painting. You know, that's transfer of knowledge. That's the old people still communicating with me.
Wayne, is that why? Sorry to interrupt you, man, but this is beautiful. And like I said, I don't know. You can tell this is Australian, right? And I'm wondering now. Then, is that because when this art's made, like you're explaining here, it's not just coming. It's in fact, it's not the individual's art at all. It's something coming through them, and that's why it has this familiar feel all the time. Scott, you're nodding. I think it makes sense to you, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, when Wayne was explaining, you know, the process he goes through, I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind is almost like channeling, right? You're channeling some kind of knowledge that's, yeah, you're tapping into some like ancient wisdom, right? And when you're tapping into that, it just kind of flows out of you onto the canvas, right? So whenever you're receiving this, I mean, are you seeing the image just in your mind, you know, as it's coming in, or are they like kind of just giving you the? Do you see what they're wanting to have you represent on the canvas? You know, how does that work? Do you just kind of start painting and it just takes you where it takes you, or do you already kind of have an idea in your mind that of what it's going to turn out like?
Well, what happens is it's like a blueprint. Like I'm looking through my elders' eyes. I've you know, it's you know, what they've captured in their mind when they were physically on Earth, and they're in the spiritual world now, and you know, it's being reflected through my eyes, and so I guess
so this is like it's like a library. It's like a hall of records.
Exactly. You know, what they're giving me is a 3D look into our world. And my art tends to come out as 3D. I don't intend to do it that way, because when you look at the artwork up close, you really don't see the 3D effect. When you look at it from a distance, it's all about movement. It's all about life. It's like you're really there. You're like you're placing yourself into that world of reality. You know, like you can see yourself on top of a hill, or you can see yourself. You know, it's life. It's all the paintings become live, and I guess that's where it's coming from. I might take some thoughts, or I might be spoken to through my spiritual connections with my elders. They might give me a bit of a story, and they might say, over there you need to put something. And
so Wayne, does it?
Is
this like a? I mean, I've heard Luna and Donnie talking about the clever fella. That's fascinating in itself. But is there like a designated person in the mob that will be like the artist? Or is that kind of what happens?
Well, there's different people in the community. Like, you know, I said I was working with my traditional healer, the Ngungari. Well, I guess I've been given the knowledge and the power to heal through all kinds of mediums, whether it's a physical, touching, feeling, whether it's through the mind. So my energy is being transferred into the artwork that I do. So that brings healing to, to people who see my art, because your eyes capture everything. So it captures everything, and it sends a message to your brain, and then your brain tells your body where you might need healing. So then, your brain is working. Your brain is saying your body needs healing here, it needs healing there. It's already sending those messages, and I believe that's what my traditional Ngangari elder has left with me. He's given me that knowledge, and I was a private student, so I wasn't really, he didn't have 10 people to teach about healing. I was spent many years closely working with him and understanding my identity, my cultural role, my cultural obligations, and my kurungula. So we call it a kurungula. I'm a kurungula. I'm a policeman. I'm a custodian. I look after art. I look after Mother Earth. I look after people. I heal people. So it's a big obligation. So when I'm away from my country, I do artwork. The artwork is sharing. It's telling story to everybody to feel that energy. So yeah, it does. It's quite. I guess I'm in a unique position because I started out young and I was able to capture the old people's knowledge before they were going to move to the next world.
Luna, you're sitting smiling. I'm blown away by this. Scotty, you look like you've got tons to say. See that colour there, that picture. That to me, that in my mind, when I see that, I say outback orange, because the colour of your country is like no other colour that you get on this earth. It's so vividly orange. There's no other place like it. And the minute you see Australian art for some reason, you know it's Australian. You just do. Right? Wrong? I think so anyway. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
No. Well, when Wayne was talking about like how at a distance it looks, more three-dimensional, and it does. And
those
I also
in
see
particular, it looks like you could fall down into those portals at the bottom, man.
Yeah, so they look like they kind of sink down into the into the picture, and also has like elements of like fractal, maybe unintentional, but it does have like an element of like fractal mathematics going on in it, and it's very, very interesting stuff. And yeah, it's awesome. It is. I'm just kind of blown away right now by all of these.
Same here. John, let me bring you in. Thank you so much, John, for helping get that picture over to us here. Wow. What do you want to add to this, brother?
No worries, kid. Well, what I want to say is that, like, people often talk about like the spiritual side of things and say, well, that it might not really be real. Some people are, they're hippies and they talk this way or that way, and our knowledge is dismissed, and people don't see it as being real. But these things are real, and so often we look to science because science is a worldview that is based on the tools of measurement. So if it can be measured, it's real. If it can't be measured, then it's a theory or mysticism. But science hasn't yet evolved to a place where it can measure these things, and science is one worldview of many. And the understanding of science's sense of reality, of being one thing rather than multiple understandings. So what I'd like what I'm trying to say is that be open-minded. And the only reason why I'm here today is because my mother's seen visions, and I told you before that my grandmother was put into a home, part of that assimilation process, government process to destroy Aboriginal culture and assimilate us into the epitome of what was seen to be the best of the best, which was British Australian, culture, and anything else was primitive. So they not only, discriminated against, for instance, your people, Kev, to say that you must speak English, you can't speak Gaelic.
Yep.
English is the epitome of what is civilized. So this whole process of assimilation affected our family. So my mum was removed at birth, taken from my grandmother, and my grandmother was sterilized. My mum was adopted into a family. Funnily enough, she was adopted into a family that was Scottish and Irish. And we found later on that we're also related to that family through the McGregor clan. So, and the Collinses. So it's a funny world.
It's an even funnier world when I tell you that my grandmother was called McGruer, and McGruer is another word for McGregor.
Yeah, and that's where the connection comes in, Kev, because the McGregors, they weren't allowed to keep their name. They weren't allowed to speak their language. There was the Highland clearances.
Yep.
There was that process of cultural destruction. And my mother, she was removed. She was adopted. My adopted grandparents always told her that she was a Polynesian princess because she was dark. Mum was very dark when she was young, and they tried to hide that she was an Aboriginal woman. And my mother had a series of visions of an old Aboriginal woman, tribal woman, coming to her and telling her to come back home. And the state and Stolen Generations policy, like they destroyed all records to try to stop reunions and family coming back because they didn't want people to associate with Aboriginal culture. They wanted Aboriginal people to move on and to become second-class, citizens. So there was this legislation, a framework called the Aboriginal Protection Act, and it was the purpose of that act to assimilate Aboriginal people. But my mother kept on having these visions. And when I was young, when I was a child, I had the same visions as my mother. And they direct those visions, those visions in our family brought us back to our community. And I was lucky because I was the youngest. And then I was able to meet elders and extended family and then be taken back onto country. So what was lost come back again. And how do you explain that in the terms of the measurement of scientific tools? How do you explain my mother having visions of our family and our ancestors, and then us being able to get the actual information to connect us back to real family, to real connections that are documented, that were hidden from us, but we found them through the spirit world, through the power of our ancestors and the great creators connecting us back to our country and our community. So these things are real. And, I often hear about the paranormal portal and people talking about spirit beings and ghosts and that. And when you go into the spirit world, there's no fences. And it can be like a jungle. So there's things that can prey on people, like the dark things. There's people that can support the people. There's spirit things that are just neutral. And Wayne understands, as a Ngungri, we've spoken about this before, we understand them things, and that's what Ngungri's role is, to help, like they say, to help people get through the mall, to get through the mall and get to where they're supposed to. And we have to be mindful that we need to. Every culture, ancient culture, has a little manual on how to understand and navigate the spirit world. But unfortunately, for 2,000 years plus, these little manuals have been chucked on the fire and burnt. But from what the fire consumerism, it's like the earth. The Mother Earth was always pregnant with life. So what goes back into the earth can come back again. And it's all about that renewal and healing. This is a real thing, but we have to be mindful, to be careful, and to understand this is a real deal. This is not pretend. This is things that can impact on us and impact on our lives.
John, I tell you, listening to you, brother, again, thank you for your time. I'm so glad Luna brought you on the show today. You keep mentioning Scotland, and I keep thinking about it, and you mentioned the Highland clearances there, and it's never dawned on me that we went through what Australia went through and many other people and cultures went through. We went through it way, way back in the day. And like you say, this is a blueprint. And when I've been doing research on the Loch Ness Monster, sounds weird. How can Kev pull in the Loch Ness Monster here? Well, I can because I think that's the exact time period when they came to Scotland through St. Columba and they started taking us away from the more pagan traditions of the Celts and the Picts who were here. And it's always baffled me, right? Because I've been to these Pictish sites like Clava Cairns, and we went to see a skeleton of one day, which is a giant, and I will pull that picture up to show people, but they keep you like 20 feet away from it. It's below eye level, so you can't really get a true picture of the perspective. But my point being is that, you know, it's very hard to find out anything about the Picts. Very hard to find out what they were up to, what they were about, their language. We've got the odd carving here or there. And it always kind of baffled me, you know, how they didn't leave much information lying around, and there must be so much more to learn about my ancestors. But not when I factor into it that it was deliberately taken away. They have purposely hidden that connection to, if you want to call them the originals of Scotland, for lack of a better term. So what you're talking about here today, John and everyone, I think when people think about this and put it into their own country's history, maybe native people in the land that they're in, you can see how this has been. It's been something that's happened time and time and time again. And it's all been, it's beyond racism and all that crap. It's something bigger, and it's far bigger. Because it's been disconnecting us from the source.
It's to try to keep everyone from knowing that core hidden knowledge.
From remembering who we are, Mr. Lopez, and where we're going. We're going for a break. We'll be right back.
What is it? That was very powerful stuff, John.
Very powerful stuff, John. Very, very on point, sir. Thank you. Is John away? Did I scare John away?
John, John Wayne.
I pull out the Loch Ness Monster and he goes away running. You see what happens. See what happens, Scott? One mention of the monster and people don't want no more Kev Baker, you see? No, but that's true though. You know, you think about the times we've spoke about the Picts, Scotty, and there's nothing I can really tell you about them because they're like this mysterious people that were just here and then they were gone, you know?
Well, I mean, did they even have a written language?
No.
Or was it all just petroglyphs?
It was all petroglyphs, yep.
So, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, with the Pict, it would be like you're probably dealing with a culture very similar in a lot of ways to the Aboriginal cultures, you know, in Australia. But unfortunately for the Picts, they're not around anymore, and it just shows what can happen.
Well, it's weird in Scotland because we've got the Gaelic, right? But it's weird because...
Hold on, Scotty. I just want to intervene there.
On you go.
Like you said, they're not around, but, you know, they are around because they're in your DNA, Kev. Yeah. They're in your spirit. You know,
no, you're right. No, you're correct. You're correct. They do live on. I mean, if you have that DNA, in you,
junk DNA,
the lineage. I mean, I'm sure the Picts were, you know, there was a lot of DNA spread throughout that area, you know, so that lineage is there. And no, I mean, I guess they're not gone because we're still finding petroglyphs and
they were ginger. Whatever. They were ginger giants, and there's ginger giants down in Australia as well.
Ah, wow.
And there's ginger giants over where you are, Scott, or where you're.
Is.
Yes, definitely ginger giants there. Now, I'd hazard a guess they're down in Mexico. I'd hazard a guess they're all down South America. I'd hazard a guess they're everywhere.
Hey, we not only do we have ginger giants, we have a plethora of different cryptids. I mean, it's cryptid heaven here in the U.S. So,
right, so where are we going when we come back, guys and girls? Where do we want to go? John, Wayne, and I had to go there eventually, right, John Wayne? Nacy, quiet as well. This is hard to get so many people airtime here. I'm going to shut up when we come back. Scotty, you bring us back, right? You bring us back, dude.
Okay.
How does that sound? I think that sounds perfect, right? Where do we go? Where's the... Let me see the studio. Right, we've still got time yet. Yeah, but this has been fantastic, Luna, and it's been nice to see you sitting smiling. That tells me this has gone exactly the way you wanted it to go, and that's important to me, because I don't want to waste anyone's time around here, and I really, really can't thank you all enough for sharing not just your time, but this information. It's like I was saying to Stephen and Evan Strong after the show the other night. I don't. It's not lost on me how lucky we are to be hearing this. This is stuff that maybe we ain't privy to. You know, you don't need to be coming here to tell us this. So I really, really, really grateful, really thankful, and I'm learning so much. So here we go. We'll bring back the network. There we go.
Am I muted?
Wars psychological just as much as they are physical. Just as much as they are economic. Listen up.
We tax you your peace of mind. We construct lies to make them true. We tell it, we sell it, you buy it, I get mine.
All right, everybody. Final segment. Wow, can you believe it? Final segment of Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com, TalkStreamLive.com, and wherever else you might be tuning in and listening or watching out there on the YouTubes. Yeah, we are having an awesome conversation tonight. It is the reconnecting of the tribes, if you will. We've got our Australian brothers and sisters joining us. We've got Kev in Scotland. We've got me and Nacy here in the U.S. and we're just getting into some mind-blowing conversation, talking about our ancient origins. Where did we come from?
Can you imagine the ancestors that are gathering right now on the astral plane, or that spirit world where there's no walls and things? We must have a pretty decent audience in this world and the next. Now I know why Facebook banned us in over 200 countries. You see, Scott, we do go beyond that veil. Yeah.
There we go. I mean, see, so, yeah. I mean, where do we want to go now? I mean,
well, we've had the Pearly Bates seal of approval. My mum has messaged. She is absolutely loving this kind of information. So, Luna, I'm going to come to you first, right? Because we need to get everyone in here. I want to thank you, Auntie Luna, because you and Nacy really are at the heart of putting this together. Me and Scotty just get to turn up, you know. Thank you for doing that. But what would you like to say to the audience here in the final segment now? And I'm going to go round everyone, probably the best way to do it.
Okay. Before I say, I mean, John's got a list of spirits that he can read out when you get to him. Okay. I'd like everyone to do that. I don't know. Basically, I've been sitting here smiling because I just feel like I'm swimming in the love and the warmth that comes in it, and I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's this is one of these shows. This is one of these shows, Luna, where we've had John, we've had Wayne. Sometimes when you get new people coming in, you know, it takes time to build a rapport, get a relationship going. No, it's just been totally natural. So it's been brilliant. Great fit for the show.
And I'm really happy to be sitting here with all my brothers, because when us women see this kind of stuff and all my brothers are together, it brings delight to our hearts. Because in a way, us women are still functioning spiritually. The Creator gave us this extra thing to look after children. We've still got a bit more of a connection. And everything we've talked about, what they've done to everyone, I've seen that the men have copped it really hard. They've taken their place away and stuff like that. But to hear all my brothers talking like this, it just makes my heart sing. And for all of the men out there listening to this that are connecting to, it just makes my heart sing because I can see the strength coming back in our brothers, and that's what we need to face the days to come. So basically, I want to hear more from John and Wayne.
Beautiful, Luna, beautiful. John, then, she's throwing the talking stick to you, brother. All these spirits, what's that about? So, John, over to you, man.
Yeah, what I might do is I'll leave that for another time, Kev, because that's a bigger conversation. But my little contribution is to all the listeners and viewers to be positive, to let that light shine, and for that light and that love that we crave for from that great creator to manifest that within ourselves and create the change that we pray for, and be, you know, the great creator. We works in mysterious ways, so we can be that power that makes positive change, and to have hope and love and understand that we're all part of the great circle of life, and that is what all our indigenous ancestors understood, and we within our own selves carry that deep within us. So have that power and understand that light will bring us all together and be positive and resilient.
Very well said, brother. And, you know, I have got shows every day of the week, John. So we can talk anytime, brother. We've got a lot of shows to do in the future. Don't you worry about that. You can keep that for another time. I can see shows happening in the near future, definitely. Donnie, let me come to you, brother. You've been very quiet tonight, Donnie. I feel really bad, man, because when you've been on in the past, you've had loads to get into. You've had all the kind of archaeological stuff. You've had that weird story about the shoes, man. Those shoes, where did those people go? But Donnie, what would you like to share with this audience right now?
Well, I believe that we planted the seed, and all it needs now is a bit of love and a bit of singing too, and it will grow. That's how I decided.
That's very much along the same lines as Stephen and Evan Strong as well. They were talking about how at this time, you know, we can't force people to think the way we think, to be the way we are. You can only, maybe even that time might be running out now to sow the seeds. I'd like to think that's what we've been doing for years on the show here, Scotty. It's like that. It's like the life cycle of a plant. We've been sowing seeds, but now we're getting to the point where we're beyond the sowing part. Something new's about to spring forward, you know?
Yeah, and, well,
you know...
Unfortunately, my old uncle used to say to me, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Exactly, Donnie. Exactly. Scotty?
No, and it goes back to like what Luna was saying earlier at the show, and you know we're just talking about that, right? I mean, we're at the point now to where, look, if people don't, if they're not receptive to the information, you just move on. You know, and like Donnie said, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And you know, at this point, I think we've done. I mean, we've done this for years, Kev, right? And now, I mean, it's time to sit back and see how it all plays out. I mean,
I've watched us evolve, Scott. I've watched Freaky Friday change as well. You can look back at the titles of shows, and we used to be so far down that rabbit hole and getting all angsty and angry about asteroids coming or the Illuminati, but now it's like different level.
Well, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, right? I mean, we've done that, and you know, it is what it is, and it's not like we've put the blinders back on or anything like that. We're evolving, and I think everybody has to evolve, and we all have to kind of evolve with the changing times, and we know we're seeing these big changes come in, and you've got to be able to flow with the wave, right? And you got to adapt. You have to be able to adapt, and so yeah, it is what it is.
You're right, dude. You're right. I tell you, the best way to ride that wave, Nacy, is to take no emotional baggage in there with you, right? Keep an open mind and just go for it, dude. Dive on in to the consciousness stream. Isn't that right, Mr. Nacy?
I believe Mr. Nacy.
He dropped out again. Here we go. I'll get him back. I didn't even notice. Wayne, let me come to you, brother. Let me come to you. And Wayne, I would love to get you on one night to show more of your art. I think it's absolutely beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that. What would you like to say to the audience, brother?
Well, I think, with things changing and we talk about COVID's knocked everyone back quite a bit, and I think it's a bit of a wake-up call to reevaluate where you are in society, reevaluate how you can reconnect to the natural world, how to, I guess reevaluate what materials you see as important and necessary. It's about healing. It's also about healing. It's taken lives. We know that, and a lot of people have lost their lives. But it's also a reevaluation time. It's a message there to say, reconnect with the natural world, because our world was spinning so fast and still is, and it's just progress, and there's a lot of things spinning in this world that's just taken us away from that real connection. And I as a healer myself, I believe everyone has the power to heal, but because we're spinning so fast, it's people have forgotten how to reevaluate where they fit in society now, and understanding, well, I believe I can heal my own body, but because I'm caught up in so many materialistic things, obviously you forget, because years will pass and you've lost that real connection. And everyone has the power, and it's just about finding it, and just giving yourself time to reevaluate where you fit, and just look at the bigger picture. What's going on here? How do I reevaluate myself as an individual? I want to learn. I got to have that feeling that you want to heal, and you want to do it in the right way, and hopefully your body will respond to that, because you're telling, your mind, like I said earlier in my paintings, it's like looking into that painting and saying, well, something's coming through. The world of branding is so powerful. If you look at anything that's branded in the world, well, people see that through their eyes, and they take that message, and it's a brand that stays in somebody's mind, because they might like a favorite drink, they might like a favorite food, and it's, and suddenly this brand comes up and they say, well, that's what I'm going to drink tonight, and that's what I'm going to eat tonight. So it's the power. Yeah. You have the power to visually see it and accept it into your world, and say, well, reevaluate where you sit. Are you traveling fine? Do you need help? You just got to get that balance, I believe, in life. And I teach that all the time. I talk about that sort of stuff, and how I have to do that in my own world. I have to, if I'm a healer, I must be able to heal myself, in some way. And generally, a healer can't heal himself, so it has to be. There's other kinds of mediums that help me heal too, so that I'm reevaluating my status too on a daily life. So it's about reconnecting to the spiritual and the physical world. Sometimes you guys are here now today. You're bringing healing without even realizing it. What we're talking about today is about healing. You're doing it. You're doing it, and you don't realize it. But what we're talking about, we're bringing out in the open. We're saying, and this is the good journey that we all want to do in life.
Oh, wow. Just wow. If you could take a sound bite, I tell you, that should be put to music, man. I think I might just do that. There's been some powerful stuff said here tonight, Scotty boy. A lot of powerful stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Mentioned the art there, right? And that ties in with some of the stuff we've covered a lot in the near past. We talk about memes. And there's a reason that they use memes. They're powerful. And a logo, a company brand, a logo, it's nothing more than just a clever meme. That's what it does. It's designed to trigger responses, invoke behaviors and thoughts. And that's why, spot on with what Wayne was saying there, Scotty, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about the importance of symbology and imagery, and that's something that has existed throughout time, throughout our
we were scribbling on cave walls, my friend.
Since we were scribbling on cave walls, we're something about our species. We respond to images and patterns and symbols and things like that, and those have been utilized all throughout history. And so of course, I mean, they utilize it, they've weaponized it, when it comes to the symbology that we see around us in society right now, and what we're bombarded with on a daily basis, through media and through social media and through advertising, the pop-ups, I mean, just everything, corporate logos and brandings. Everybody knows the golden arches from McDonald's, right? Like Wayne was talking about, everybody knows that branding. Everybody knows the Coca-Cola logo. Everybody knows the Pepsi logo. Everybody knows the logo of Apple, of IBM, everything, and it's just
everyone knows the KBS logo because it triggers everyone.
Yes, everybody knows the KBS logo, but and this goes back to, it's one of those kind of occulted knowledge things that they utilize on the masses on a daily basis, and the masses don't really realize that they're being targeted, in that way. But that can also be reversed on them, right? For every bad there's a good. We're talking about the yin and the yang, the dark
balance,
and the light.
Man, it's balance. It's in there, right?
Balance and duality. You can use the symbology, you can use the imagery, you can use all of that in a positive way, and in a healing way, like Wayne was saying, right? Through his art, and through that he's using symbology, or he's using images and symbols and everything, but it's on the side of good, it's on the side of light, and things like that. So yeah, it does. It comes down to walking that balance, finding that.
Multi-dimensional art that Wayne's doing,
Yeah, and look, I mean, with all of the negatives of technology, it's the same thing. We can use technology to do positive things as well. I mean, what we're doing right now is a perfect example of that. We're utilizing technology to come together and have this conversation and put all of these positive vibes out into the world.
Scott, listen, I'm detecting some negative vibes in the Matrix, right? Because Nacy keeps getting cut off the call. I've managed to get him back on now. So Nacy, I'm going to come to you, brother, because you must have a lot to say, my friend, and I apologize. I missed when you dropped out the call there earlier. The guys, Scott, he kind of alerted me to it. You're back now. Any final thoughts, Nacy? Is he there?
There
he is.
I have had such an enjoyable time, and I have been adamantly on hitting my mute button, and seemingly I don't know if it's muting me or not, so I would actually just hang up on the call because I don't want to cause any disruption. But one thing I wanted to acknowledge is my Niji John there. When I informed him that I was going to be doing my equinox fast in solidarity, he himself started fasting. And this is what we do as brothers, as entities that are attempting to be the positivity for all of us and not for our own individual interest. And so a chimigwich for that, John. I appreciate, the energy that you were directing in my general vicinity. And this is one thing that we need to acknowledge, the fact that we are all here living, breathing entities sharing this existence. And whether or not we are here collectively in the present moment, or if we aren't, we're all here. And when we can acknowledge that we are here, then we can connect on a deeper realm and manipulate the fields to be that positive action of change. So miigwech, my brothers and sisters, for being the miracles you are.
Wow. I can feel about another 10 to 15 shows getting lined up in my head here. I hardly got into any of the kind of woo that I would love to interrogate all of these people about as well, Scott. Oh, man. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours is just enough to, kind of scratch the surface because, man, I mean, if we really, really wanted to dig deep into, like, the origin story, what really happened, what was it, some kind of a battle that took place?
Well, if people would like to get a little taste of that, you can go to the YouTube channel and look for the show I done with Bruce Fenton. We'll start with Bruce Fenton, and then we had Jess and Dan on. Then we got in touch with Luna and Donnie. And now it's expanded further into Wayne and John. And I tell you, Wayne, John, I've had people messaging me to say, literally, wow. Where did you find these guys? Well, I have to thank Luna for that. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. Every bit as good as our brother Naysay here. Donnie always delivers as well, but John, Wayne, with it being your first time on the show, can't thank you enough, guys, honestly. Just a wonderful time. Thank you both.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to
thank
help
you
us.
too.
John,
John
and Wayne, I should really get you both back on together because then the John Wayne thing works, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and I can be Bruce that night. I know, bad joke, hey. But no, guys, listen, I think I might have to actually move to Australia if we get any more Australian themed here. How hard is it to get into Australia? Oh, it's very hard. I know that. I'm only joking. But no, Scotty, what can you say, man? We've got about 4 minutes left. I don't even know how to take this show out.
I don't know. I'm blown away by the conversation, and like I said, we could probably sit here and talk for another 3 hours easy. When we really, if we were to really start digging into a lot of this stuff, and I think it's important to talk about how it seems like there's this common theme that has been talked about all throughout the globe, from many different cultures, and it seems like that there's a core story to everything that links everyone, and I think that's one of the things that we need to try and get some answers for, answer some questions and figure out, where did we come from? Where how did this all start? What is our true origin story? And I think a lot of that has been, hidden away from us for whatever reason, and I don't know, man. I'm blown away. It was an awesome show tonight. It was awesome.
It's been that awesome that Ken Rotman, our good friend from down under, the thylacine expert, he's only been tuned in for 2 hours. Ken, remember, dude, those pesky Americans put their clock forward, so we've all had to rearrange the furniture. No, Ken, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the show here, brother. But it's not the end of live radio on TFR, because we don't roll like that. No, no, no. We give you protection from deception. We say silence is consent. And we're also, I like to think we're going a long way to reconnecting the tribes out there. And if you've been listening to this show tonight, give yourself a massive, giant pat on the back. Do it, because you're here for a reason. You know, maybe even if you listen to this show today and you think, a bit new agey, bit out there, I don't know if I get this stuff. Give it time. Give it a month, 2 months, but eventually I know that it's going to take root. It's going to be one of those seeds. Might be a slow burner, but that's okay, because we're all on our own journeys. But the fact that you've turned up here today tells me a lot. Tells me a lot. You know, I don't think it's any accident when we all cross paths. We all meet these new people in our lives. And look at this today. You know, it's like I've known all of these people forever, but I haven't. That's because we're coming into contact with people at the right frequencies at the right time. And that's what I love about Truth Frequency, Scotty. I wouldn't have been able to meet half the people that I've come into contact with. And that's what it's all about right now, at this time we're living, right?
What's the saying? Your vibe attracts your tribe.
If it isn't a saying, I like it, and we're going to make it one.
Yeah. I think it's true. You know, I think when you're operating on a certain vibrational level, you attract other people that are operating on that vibrational level as well, right? You know, so if you choose to be a negative person, you're going to be surrounded by negative people. If you choose to be a positive person, you're going to be surrounded by positive people. You know, and that's how it works. That's how it works, man.
Dang, it's been deep tonight. Luna, take us out. You take us out,
I was
sister.
just wondering if Brother John had his digi there and he could take us out on the music. John?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having difficulty hearing you, so I might have to be you.
I was just wondering if you had your digi there, brother.
Sorry, I can't hear. So the rain's too hard.
Oh, no, you know what, Luna, this is. We're out of time, folks. Wherever you are, right. Make it TFR. But you know, that's weird. That's weird, right? And we're still on YouTube. I'm going to play the super chats in a moment, folks. I haven't forgotten about you. Brian, we had Lessons, that's Julian, and we also had Leslie as well. So I'll play them in just a moment. But I was trying to find the didgeridoo piece that Donnie had put together and got sent to me. I couldn't find it anywhere, and then you go and mention the didgeridoo. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and find it in a moment. But Luna, I want you to kind of take us out today, because that's the way we've always done it on our shows. I like the whole matriarchal system. I'm getting very woke. I like it. You see. But before we get there, I'm going to play these super chats. So we'll play. This was Leslie first. I'll play this one here.
Leslie Dickey donated $5 through Super Chat. Hey Kev, thanks to you, I'm hanging out with Connie. Watch out, Snoop Dogg PPP.
Hey, I tell you, that's a combination to be feared. Leslie and Connie in the same house, that could be, that's a party. That's a party waiting to happen right there, right? Luna's nodding away, she knows.
I want to Skype in.
And that's another thing for people, if you like listening to Luna, then you can hear Luna and a lot of people most nights over in the KBS Discord. It's just people talking. It's not it's no show, it's just people hanging out. Like-minded travelers on the journey. And if you want to join the Discord, I'll drop a link in a moment. But we also had our good friend Julian. And Julian, I'm terrible. I know we've still got to do a show on eschatology. There you go. Different belief systems, eschatology, Scott. It's going to be a good one. That sounds like a Freaky Friday, eh?
I like it, because we always talk about how we like to look into different belief systems, and you have to put aside any biases you may have or whatever. If you grew up as a Christian or whatever.
Plus, Julian has got one of the most rocking lockdown haircuts that I've seen in Britain. It's brilliant. He's like growing a mushroom on top, man, and he's just cutting the sides. It's awesome. It's awesome. I need to get him on before he cuts it.
But yeah, I mean, no, to pull information.
Luna laughing.
You put the image in my head now, Kev.
I know. The guy's like super chatted me money, and I'm calling him a mushroom head. I'm terrible, right? But Scotty.
Good band, by the way. Mushroom Head. They're a good band
for a band.
Yeah. They're awesome band. But no. Pulling from different cultures and religions and all of that stuff and studying all of it, it gives you a greater understanding of these things, and it leads you to what we were talking about right now. Like, oh, they're all talking about the same stuff. What, they were talking about a flood? They were talking about a flood over here and over there and on the opposite side of the world when they weren't even in contact with each other, but they're all talking about this cataclysmic event that took place, and you start seeing all these parallels and similarities, and you're like, looks like there's a lot more to the story than we're being told.
Yeah, I'm sure he teaches religious studies in a school. I'm pretty sure. So he's got a wide kind of range of knowledge on that, and he chipped in on the topic of Babel. Here we go.
Lessons for Life donated £2 through Super Chat. Babel Babelahim, Gate of the Gods.
There you go, Babel. That is an interesting topic, man. It truly is. And then last but not least, Brian, my good friend Brian. 555 to you, sir. And a big Bingus shout out as well. Here we go.
Brian Canottle donated $5.55 through Super Chat. Best lurk ever. Much love all. PPP.
I can imagine, as a consumer of far too many hours of YouTube content, this would have been a fantastic show just to sit back, probably spark a bit of PPP and just chillax. Definitely. I'm with you, Brian. I'd have been in lurk mode as well. So folks, we're out of time. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I know I certainly did. This is one I'll be listening to again. And we'll be getting these people back on again. We'll have Luna back. We'll have Wayne back. John, our good friend Donnie. I need Donnie to tell me all about Dave and the UFO, but he's kind of keeping it close to his chest over there. We've also got the Nacy as well. We'll all be back, and you can't get rid of me and Scott. We're here every Thursday and Friday, and I'll be back Sunday with the members stream. Not KBS1, but the other YouTube channel. We have got memberships. So if you want to hang out on a Sunday over there in the member zone, please feel free. And we'll be back on Sunday with Warrior Mode. And every time I kind of tell people when I'm on the internet, it kind of reminds me I'm on the internet far too much. I tell you, Scott, it's like, whoa, come on. Slow down, Kev. Take a day off.
Nano Girl.
Nano Girl is next week. That's right. We've got Nano coming back onto Freaky Friday next week. And I'm going to try and line up a surprise guest for that one as well. No, I'm going to try and line up 2 surprise guests. And it's people that everyone will know, and it's going to blow your mind. That's all I'm going to say. So with that in mind, ladies and gents, you like how I do that, Scott?
I'm intrigued now.
You see, that's the hook, man. I've been to YouTube Academy. They tell you got to leave people with a bit of a carrot, and then get out. Leave them wanting more, Scott. So we're out of here, right? No, but a big shout out.
We're out.
We are out of here. Folks, thank you for tuning in today. Big thank you to all of our guests. Massive thank you to Nacy for putting it all together. And remember, folks, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.
Wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Dave on the Woo